Here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Looting through the rubble, leaving cities war-torn, still incurring more scorn. Ragged and I'm forlorn, trying to unlock this. Open with my lockpicks, punching with my second hand every time the clock ticks.
Alright, there you go.
Alright, let's see if we can do all of this here. Okay, I think I'm going to have to just raise the volume on the microphone a bit because I'm wearing a mouth covering during this entire episode, whether you like to or not. And let's make the camera a bit higher so you can see my face. Okay, there we go. Turn off the light in the meantime. I think we're good. Okay? Let me just quickly see if we're chipmunking here. Okay, so I'm just going to be loud and try to project my voice as much as I can because the only the space that we stream from is a, like, we're not outside, so that's not what I mean by public space, but it is whatchamacallit, it is a it's the public area. It's not my isolation area. And in fact, I just remembered something. Give me one moment, because this will be very important for later. Hold on. Right now. Lots of tissues. There we go. Alright. So, as I rehydrate here, welcome everyone to a very masked and muffled edition of The Master of Unlocking. If you want to know who the hell I am Side Pocket. I'm one of the two co-founders of DCG 201, formerly known as DEFCON 201 or DC 201. We are a computer hacker collective tinkering group, one of the many DEFCON groups across the nation around the world. We normally meet third Friday of the month in Jersey City, New Jersey, hence the 201. And in fact, we had a... everything's going wrong with my mouth today. Hang on. That's something you can quote me on. Everything's going wrong with my mouth today. Give me a moment. Ah! See, this is how the thing wins. This is how the virus wins, because I try to be as sanitary as possible. I'm going to sanitize everything after the stream again, because I've already sanitized a lot of the equipment, like, weeks ago, because it's just been sitting here otherwise. And then, like, your body's just like, itch this, scratch that, puke on this, and it's like, stop. But anyhow, we actually had our meeting last Friday, this following Friday, so it's like a day and a half ago. It was pretty crazy, but I actually very much enjoyed the live stream. You should go check it out. We had a really cool talk. Some cool pre-recorded videos. And if you want to know more about us, you can check us at our website at defcon21.org. And I'll be off camera for a second because I'm going to post some in chat. I'm an old fart, so if someone can describe, I know what takes the knee means, but I don't know why my setup looks like that. But here's our website. I just posted in chat at defcon21.org. We are also available on all sorts of social media, such as defcon201nj on Twitter and defcon201 on Instagram, GitHub, the hostducks.social instance of Mastodon. We have our own .onion portals, which I've been meaning to update. And there's the master links all in there. Lastly, if you are on Facebook, my condolences, because we stream to multiple platforms. If you're on Facebook and you want to chat with us, that's the guide to get connected on Facebook chat. And this is going to be one of the 2 times I'm going to be running over there to do that stuff. So anyhow, what is this show for all you new people out there? And why am I wearing a mask right now for all those who did not see our social media, don't know me personally, or were not in the stream? Oh, cool, yeah, take the D spaceman. That makes sense. Yeah, well, wait till you see when we get to the Elmo cam of all the locks we're going to be showing, because this is going to be really funny. So anyhow, this show, as it says, is the Master of Unlocking. I just want to note, I'm not a ranked master on any sort of lock forum. I know what I'm doing, and in fact, I'm part of Tool. That's the open organization of lockpickers. That's Tool with 3 O's, TOOOL.us. I'm too lazy to run over there and type it in a chat, but if like G.I. Jack or co-founder or someone else is in chat, you can type that URL for yourself. And so I do, when we are allowed to meet in public, which I'm definitely not, and I'll describe that in a moment why, is that, I teach lockpicking at Tool meetups and our own meetups and hacker security. I just teach locks, how they work, the security flaws they have, how to bypass them, how to lockpick. That's what I do. One of my favorite hobbies. And we do this show the first and third Sunday of every month. This is the third Sunday. I already had this episode pre-planned and everything. And the reason why I'm wearing a mask is because if you hadn't saw the news, went out to the same venue in New York, in Brooklyn. Not going to say the name on air. If you want to know, you can message me on our social media or send us an email. Just in case if you're in Brooklyn, you want to, be cautious. On Sunday and Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, I started to develop, cold symptoms. And then I had a hard time breathing. And I've never had a cold or a flu where it felt like there was, that there was, a Masterlock 15 the size of a dog sitting on my chest. So, I was suspicious, and then I got informed that on Sunday at that venue that there were multiple cases of people getting COVID-19 despite supposedly checking IDs and vaccination cards. Although, expectedly, when I went to the after thing on Sunday, they didn't, but I knew that in advance, which also shocked me that they didn't even. I don't the vax cards I expected, but the ID, no, there was no one there to check my ID at a bar. And on Tuesday, there was no one there to do that either. And this was after the New York mandate. I don't know where I got this from. I'm thinking it's from there, but regardless, basically in the next 2 days, things got worse. I took 2 tests, including the forbidden lollipop of death over here, as I've called it. I'm going to hang this up on my wall. And basically, unfortunately, I got Trump disease. I got the Republican virus, as they call it now. I'm assuming it is Delta because I've been fully vaccinated since May. And so I have been isolating since basically like Wednesday night, Thursday morning. I've been wearing this mask anytime I'm outside of my room. I haven't really touched any of this stuff. After I touch all this stuff, I'm going to disinfect it. I'm taking all sorts of precautions. I feel a hell of a lot better. I don't recommend getting this disease because, I'll put it this way, it's not the worst fever I ever had, but it ranked up there. That was not fun. Basically, between this and all of the baffling decisions where I'm starting to realize why New Jersey's mostly fine with the new variants, and why New York, I think, is going to turn into like Mad Max 28 days later. Really baffling business decisions, I might add, in terms of public health safety. And it's funny because literally last year, and we're going to get to the locks in a moment, I literally said to everyone that I met that, I'm going to get the vaccine when it comes out, I'm going to take precautions, and if I get it or any variant of it, I bet you I'm going to get it in New York. Like, I'm not going to get it in my home state, because my home state's like, we're like assholes, but we're like assholes in terms of like driving and like yelling at people. We're not assholes in like, we'll wash our hands before we shake your hand. We're not going to take a hamburger, wipe our ass with it, and eat it. That's basically Brooklyn. So, prophecy achieved. And that's why I'm drinking things like I have my cool liquid and I have my warm liquid here for flu stuff. Okay, I like the way you talk. I have to read this comment. One of our attenders nonsense said, "Take care, my dude," and I also love how you deadass gave COVID a Yelp review. That made my day. We haven't even gone through the rest of this episode, because this episode I'm actually excited for, and that made my day. So I just want to know taking precautions, and I just want to let you know, because I have a time scheduling on this, at some point, you are going to see me take my temperature on air, okay? I'm not doing it. I didn't do it just for the camera. It's literally, I set time periods where I take my temperature, and you're going to see me do that on air. That's going to happen later. But let's get into more of the show. So again, we're going to do lockpicking and lockpicking security. Before we get into today's topic, I want you to know a couple of things. One, if you like the content that you see today, on this show, the meeting last time, the upcoming meeting on September 17th, future episodes, a couple days ago, G.I. Jack did an absolutely banger episode of his show Archvile Linux Perspective, which now he does every third Thursday of the month, and he like concentrates it on one day, and it's been a lot better for everybody. Or any of the future stuff, you can hit that bell, like, share, and subscribe on Twitch, D-Live, or YouTube. We're also on Facebook, which I send my condolences for. Diode Zone, which is instance of PeerTube. It's awesome because they're like censorship resistant. An amazing word. We found this amazing hack of how you can watch YouTube on tour. So there's a bunch of elite hackers like that out there yourself. Also, stay safe and wear masks in public. If you haven't gotten the vaccine, get it. Put it this way: the Delta variant is like the berserkers of the COVID military. So it specifically targets young people. There are people younger than me. I'm 34. There have been cases of people who are with no pre-existing conditions, 24, 28, they get infected with Delta. they're not vaccinated, in under 24 hours, usually around 9 to 10 hours, they're in the ER, and a lot of them end up dying from a heart attack when their entire family history has no history of cardiovascular illnesses. If you are vaccinated, you get sick like I do, but you live. That's how I know the vaccine works. So I'm literally a living experiment for that, so just let you know. So anyway, enough of the COVID stuff. Let's get back to the locks. So, in addition, we have 2 rules on this show that I ganked from the Open Organizational Lockpickers tool because they just make too much sense. It protects me, it protects you, it protects the organization, it protects our favorite hobby, all of that. Allows me to do these live streams. And those 2 rules are: 1, never pick a lock that you rely on. You have no idea how many times online or in person where I have teach locks, and even when I say these rules, everyone's first instinct is to go home and pick the lock on their front door, or the lock they use for their gym, or the safe they have at home, or the locks they have on their windows. Don't do that. Every time you pick or bypass a lock, you will wear the lock mechanisms down. You have a chance of breaking your lock picks. You have a chance of doing both. And every time you do a picking or bypass technique on a lock, the lock gets more susceptible to those techniques, making them basically less and less effective over time. Keep your locks only to lock stuff. Don't use them to pick. Get dedicated lock gear or training gear if you want to learn. We're going to separate the peas from the applesauce here, okay? The second rule, and by the way, I know my voice is very muffled. I work in a job where I'm used to wearing a mask, and like, you can hear me from fucking space. If I'm too muffled, or I sound too low, or I'm talking too fast, please let me know, okay? I also want to warn because the illness, probably not going to happen this episode, but I might end up taking a short break just to collect myself. In fact, I'm going to hydrate myself right now. Here we go. The second rule is do not pick locks that you don't own. If you're walking around and there's like a Masterlock number 3 on the door, and they're like, oh, that's the Masterlock number 3. I saw the Master of Unlocking show. That side pocket guy's a genius. I bought the tool that he said, and that's how you don't do it, okay? Don't. That's on someone else's property. You're immediately trespassing. They put a lock on that place, so no matter how dumb that lock is or trivial where the lock is, they put it there for a reason. Basically, if police, if law enforcement come by, and they see you doing this, the batons are going to come out and the beatings are going to begin. Trust me. I have this type of hair. I have this type of skin. I know. Don't ask how I know this, even though it should be very obvious. Even though I've never been prosecuted for that because I follow these 2 rules. So, once again, do not pick locks that you rely on, and do not pick locks that you don't own. All the locks and equipment you see here are in, and I have it behind me, are in this dedicated, soon to be twice as big, and honestly, you might as well open the other door and I'll open the front door because, like, we're also quarantining here, dude. Case that is just designed for lockpicking. Now, excuse me, I have to go correct this thing since we're quarantining and live streaming at the same time. So, what's today's episode? Well, there's a very important birthday that has recently come up. Trying to think here how to describe this. It's kind of a celebrity. It's weird. They're like famous. Everyone's seen them everywhere. But I don't think anyone gives a thought that they exist. Except for maybe people like us and you watching at home, right? And that is the Masterlock Company. The Masterlock Company. People, for some reason, think Masterlock because they have the shiny packaging and stuff, and the swab logo and everything, that somehow that they're like a company that maybe formed in like the 80s, or like the 90s or the 80s, maybe late 70s or something. No. Most of these, if not all of these lock manufacturers, have been around forever. I'll put it in perspective. Let's count. So I think Apple, if I remember correctly, their first computers were early 70s, so 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010. They are already 50 years old. This is a modern computer company. They're already 50 years old. Masterlock's older than that. They have just celebrated over 100 years of making locks. And of course, because of numerous factors and because of how celebrity popular they are, I have a ton of master locks over the years. Many of them, some of them are for my own personal training. Most of them are for, and thank you, Johnny Klocka, for following us, especially with my condition because of a-holes from Brooklyn. I appreciate that. And that's, again, we say it, cheer up. Also, if you're wondering what that download the app rewarded thing, that's called the Instant reward system. Basically, it's this weird thing. We're not sponsored by them or anything. We literally just found this out. You get the Instant app. We've researched it. Apparently, it's not malware. But it's a cryptocurrency wallet. And when you see that little QR code, you can scan it with the wallet, or you can type in the code. You get a free bit of the Instant cryptocurrency. Then you can trade that for any bit of cryptocurrency. And then, if you want, instead of pulling out a cryptocurrency, you can, like, for example, translate that to Bitcoin or Litecoin or Monero, and then pull that out as fiat money. So it's just a cool way to earn, like, a little bit of money completely for free, non-sponsored, not bullcrap, just by watching our stream, just in case someone asked. Someone in chat said, oh, cool, it's the DCG 5511 people. Awesome. No. You, you had home stuff. First of all, congratulations for, like, spawning, like, another human. It's always awesome when an original code set actually manages to make a successful spin-off of a repository. And it will be awesome to see how that biological product develops. So congratulations and good luck. Second of all, we're getting right into the episode. You just missed the 2 rules, which I'm going to repeat again. Do not pick locks that you rely on, and do not pick locks that you don't own. But you are the awesome Brazil folks. I'm pretty sure, especially with your neighbors in Argentina with Lockpick AR, you probably already know those rules. Anyhow, I have a ton of master locks for training. Whether it's for my own personal training, my personal curiosity's sake, or most likely, most of this stuff is from this kit. And then we have a really, really cool type of lock that I'm actually going to put behind me away for a moment from Masterlock because of this that we're going to see. So, without further ado, I'm going to try to turn on this light, and we're going to make some adjustments so that everyone's not completely blind. I think that's okay. And let's now flip everything over. I have to go off screen for this. There we go. Oh, so before we get into this, by the way, I just want to let you know, in November in Texas, Lock Camp is back. Provided that Delta still stays in its lane, by the way, and Lambda, Lock Camp is back. It's going to be on November 12th to the 14th. Literally think of this as like a 3-day, like, vacation sort of thing. We are out in the wilderness with tents, and you're chopping wood and whizzing in the air at 3 a.m. in the morning and running away from bears. And knowing Texas, also running away from bears. 2 different types of bear. If you see a bear that's a gay bear, 1, Ripley's Believe It or Not. 2, run. Not because they're gay, but because that is a scary combination right there. Trust me, I live next to New York. But anyhow, so think of it like as a camping vacation, and you take your kids and stuff, but it's also all lockpicking. That's all you're going to be doing there. Besides surviving the wilderness, you're going to be there. The uncensored tactical people are going to be there. I believe Sky Pirate is going to be there, but don't quote me on that. We had him on a previous DCG 201 meetup. That was an amazing interview 2 meetings ago. You should go check that out. That was the July live stream meetup. And yeah, and I'll put it this way. They have a bunch of sponsors, and including Sparrows and Southor. I don't know if we can sponsor them, just because we're going through a bunch of stuff as a group. Nothing horrific, just, we have limits. We don't like to think that, but we have limits at DCG 201. But I have relatives out in Texas that are not too far away from where they're having the camp. So I'm going to look into going. And I'm not sure about live streaming directly from the woods. That would be funny and tricky. But if I do go, I will document me being at Lock Camp. Because I found this out like a year and a half ago. It's really cool. They had to miss out one because of the pandemic. I mean, we're still going through the pandemic, but I mean, like, the original ass craziness of the pandemic. We're kind of beginning craziness 2.0 right now, technically. But it's back currently, so I just wanted to shout that out before we go to our main thing. I'll also put the URL. You can find this at, so it's Lock Camp, and it's literally, after you put the HTTPS, lock.camp. Isn't that amazing? The name of it is literally the URL. I love that. So anyhow, let's go see what's on the table right now. Let me find the right display. Nope. Here we go. Awesome. So, there's even more off on the sides and stuff. I have a lot. Let's see if I can rearrange some of this, because these are my tools. There's a lot. How far? Okay, this is the range. I have a lot of these here. A lot of these are from my kit. And we're going to pretty much look at all of them, including one that's off screen that you may have seen an image of. This is going to be really fun. I'm so excited for this. So, let's do a bit of recon as I do both warm and cold fluids. Now, let's do good recon. So before we go into these locks, let's go through the history of the company itself. This is where, if I had more time and I wasn't nearly dead, I would have Night Owl on these. I can't type it in chat right now, but Night Owl is a longtime friend of mine. He's also been my lock mentor for years when I actually started to like full on getting into this about 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago at this point. If I remember correctly, his Twitter is NITE0WL. That's it. He's one of the many people and one of the core people that reverse the TSA keys. He has an amazing YouTube channel as well as his Twitter. And sometimes when he's not going crazy, he actually will live stream. And he has way bigger collection than I do, particularly of old vintage stuff. And he is particularly an expert in the history of all this stuff. So I wish I had him on today. I did tag him in the episode. If you want to know more information about Masterlock as a company and other various Masterlock products, and like the actual historical way of like why they were made the way they were, how they were made, go to his channel. I'll be right back. I just want to move the logo over. See, we have like a logo here. I just want to move it so it's a little bit more visible. There we go. Alright, awesome. Put it down here. There we go. So I'm being an asshole, and I'm just going to be on Wikipedia, and I'm just going to read parts of Masterlock's history, okay? I'm going to be doing that a lot. So before co-founding the company in 1921, that's how old this is, I'm going to attempt to pronounce his name, and I apologize to this guy who is probably dead, because as someone who's half Polish, I know what it's like to have an incomprehensible name that will divide by 0 the English language. So I apologize in advance if I screw up your name. Harry Soreff. I think it's Soreff. I've been a traveling locksmith in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and had invented a lock for protecting military equipment, and had founded the Master Key Company for making master skeleton keys. In 1919, Soreff then invented a padlock design that used a laminated steel layers to economically produce an exceptionally strong lock body. That's what these guys are. This is that sort of, you have multiple metal sheets that are then hollowed out inside, and then everything is riveted together instead of screwed or welded together. And of course, I think the sides might be welded now, but yeah. So, if you look up old master locks, besides some of the old-timey 1950s racist designs, this design has not changed since then. And it sucks, because I was going to find a video that Lockpicking Lawyer did about this. And for some reason, I guess he's covered so many Masterlock products, no matter what I searched for, I couldn't find it. But there is a video where and I'm going to bring this up again, where he has a Masterlock from the 1930s, I believe, and then a Masterlock number 3 now, and you're going to see what the problem is with pretty much most of the Masterlock products, at least most of the Masterlock products on this side of the table. He tried unsuccessfully to get some large companies invested in using his design, so his two friends, P.E. Yolas, I almost read that as IP Freely. It's like one of those names, right? P.E. Yolas and Stan Stahl worked together to found the Masterlock Company in Milwaukee in 1921 to produce the locks themselves. Initially with 5 employees, which is hilarious. Oh, cool! Thank you, Fastest Trade. Thank you for sending the ice cream, which is a measure of what do you call it? Of lemons. It's kind of like the Twitch bits system. And thanks for the follow. And hi out there. Thank you for the live stream. We're really, after I do the history lesson, we're going to get right into all of this. And thank you for that follow. I don't know why the counter hasn't changed. There might be a glitch or something, because you see that counter above me? Over there? It's 99 out of 100. When we reach over 100 followers, I can contact DLive, and they'll see it's 100 followers and all the other stuff that we managed to achieve like almost a year ago, and we can upgrade our account for free to do more on DLive. So thank you for that follow. Please stay followed to us, because if that counter goes up and stays that way for like a day or 3, we can now upgrade our account because of you. So thank you so much, and thanks for watching. So, back to the history lesson. Thank you again. In 1924, the company was granted the first patent on this type of laminated design. Stahl then led the company to become a major manufacturer of locks, and 3 co-founders worked closely until Sorof's death in 1957. The brand did not reach its peak status as a familiar consumer brand at the time of his death, though. Then Stahl left the company until selling his shares to Sorof's children, who took over the company management, later selling the company to the American Brands Corporation in the 1970s. And so basically, like, I would say, starting in the 70s, you really started to see these in stores, and they really became ubiquitous by like the mid to late 90s, and now you can't escape these things. And after that short history lesson, and again, you can hit up my mentor, Night Owl, NITE0WL, major person at the Open Organizational Lockpickers, or Tool with 3 O's. I know, it's like weird spellings everywhere. I'm the only naturally spelled word name out there, ironically enough, in terms of a handle in the locksport community, except maybe Fish Picks. Yeah. But we're now going to get into kind of the designs and about Masterlock. So I don't really have to, even though I read you that history lesson, I don't really have to introduce what Masterlock is, because if you go into a Home Depot, a Lowe's, any hardware store, mom and pop, major corporation, online, doesn't matter, Masterlocks are everywhere. In fact, at the big retail chains like Home Depots and Lowe's in the United States, pretty much the only type of locks you can get is Masterlock. Pretty much, unless you have a specialty product, like it's for like a car or something, it's pretty much going to be a Masterlock. And I know you see that American lock over there, and you're like, why is it? We'll get to that in a bit, okay? And that is because, well, I guess to explain that, let's start off with probably the most 3 basic locks in this collection. Let's start off with the beginner locks that I always use for lockpick training. And then I'll explain why, and we're going to actually get into another lock that further exemplifies this. So, I don't have them here. I'm not going to take them out because I don't want to contaminate them. But when I do teach lockpicking, I have a set of custom cores that I order from other companies. The 2 main companies I order them from are Tool themselves. They do fantastic designs, especially their 1-pin lock, which is actually very necessary for instructors like myself. And Lockpick Extreme, cheaper, all-woman run, excellent professional customer service, professional delivery, build quality, everything. But I have a set of progressive locks. These are tumblers. They're the actual lock part itself, the pins and everything. from 2 pins to about 6 pins, right? So you learn 2 pins, practice that, then you go to 3 pins. And as I always tell people, once you get to 4 pins, you're now ready to pick your first padlock because the majority of padlocks have 4 pins. Some of them have 5. Some of the ones here have 5. But once you hit 4, most padlocks, especially since many padlocks are Masterlocks from the Masterlock company. And everyone always asks me, what is a real-world lock that people use, not a tumbler that's been modified that you can get online? Yes, $100 stay that way. But like, thank you so much, Basic Trade, for that follow. But people always ask, what is a lock that I can go to a store and buy that people actually use so I feel like I picked an actual lock? And in every one of those, and I think most lock sporters agree on this, but this is what I do. The two that I always try to do is the Masterlock 120 to 140 series. I believe the 140s are probably more common. I also nickname these the Brass Boys. Do you see this brass sort of design? The main thing is this wedge-like shape. Sometimes they're different colors, sometimes they're different textures over the metal. But this shape, this is one of those. Masterlock 120, 140. The only difference between the 120 and the 140 is the size of the shackle. The 120, the shackles are hot, is super long. The 140, it's the standard short one. Insides are the same. Lock body's the same. So that's one. And to me, this is the ultimate beginner one. The other one, which is probably the most famous one, is the Masterlock 1 through 5 series, with the most common one being the absolutely legendary, everyone's first and favorite beginner lock, the Masterlock number 3, with the patented rivet metal slate hard body design. And I'm actually going to give you a sneak preview of this. That's designed so that you can't hit the thing really hard with any instrument and it opens. And if you can't really use shears or anything, you'd have to saw these open with diamond cutters. Now, and we're going to get to this guy in a moment. Why do I recommend these two? That's because the insides of these have not changed since those designs from the 1930s. Which means they are 4 pins, just like those practice tumblers. Remember, they got the 4 pins. These have 4 pins. And I wish I had the keys on me. I might. Hang on. But the weirdest thing about them, I think this is it. It should be it. One of these two should be it. Hang on. Yep, they say master on them. Okay, one of these two should do it. Nope. Yep. So we're going to look at the key for the 140. Now, I'm not going to go over, especially if you were like one of the sex workers that I meet recently, because we did a whole guide and outreach on it, on how lockpicking works. You can see some of the early episodes. I believe episode 3 has the intro to lockpicking, because episode 1 or 2 doesn't exist because of technical difficulties, and you weren't missing much. But you'll note, the thing I always talk about is the bidding. It's really good if you have a key where the cuts are up and down like mountains. You'll notice something with this key, right? It's really flat. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, all these 2 pins in the middle, these probably the first and the last one are like at the shear line, and these 2 in the middle, they're the ones that are just slightly below the shear line. So all you need to do, you don't even have to do all 4 pins. You just need to do 2 of them out of the 4, and it opens. And this is why they're great beginner practice locks. Because they only have 4 pins, and you only need to move 2 or 3 of them in order to open it. So, now, again, if you've seen me open some of these locks before, 11 times. This is the disgusting part. I'm going to snip off camera. Hold on. Oh, that's good stuff. You get to see my reptile face. Don't worry, I'm washing my hands all after this, and all this stuff's going to get wiped down with alcohol and lock lube. It's going to be great. But, if you see me pick any of these in the past, and I suck now, COVID-19's not helping. Literally, it's not helping. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what I mean. So first of all, how do I know these have 4 pins in them? Well, besides the fact that I own them, let's just take any flat tool. Let's take this city rake here. We're going to take the flat edge. We're going to put the flat edge pointing towards these pins at the top. All the way in. Hold them up. Now, the camera, I don't think it's sensitive enough to hear it. But if it's really quiet, you can hear it. And I can feel the pins drop and you count them. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's too gentle, so I can't do it. So I'm going to try. Yeah. It's not picking up, but there's 4 pins. I can do that to the Masterlock number 3 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pins. Any lock, that's how you test how many pins they are in a standard pin tumbler lock. This is what I'm going to do. So we're going to take our bottom of the keyway tension tool. We're going to put it at the bottom. I'm going to hold it in my preferred position. This is, to me, the most relaxing position to teach all my students this. Put light tension on it. And we're going to go in. And I'm so familiar with these that it should just be these back 2 pins, provided that I'm not too sick. I think I was over-tensioning there because I kind of got distracted. Oh, one second. Kind of got distracted there. Okay. Let me just make sure I'm zoomed out a little bit. Okay, I am. Try this again. Might have to get a different tensioner again. I'm under the weather because of the disease, so I apologize in advance for any like weird mishaps that go on. I've also remember thinking that I hope I don't like faint on the stream or something. All right, let me just get a different tension tool. I'm probably distracted, but all right, where's that? I think this one's okay. Let me try it. Yep, that works. Worst comes to worst, I got the offset hybrid because that's like my favorite. Let me go get the offset hybrid. Again, these are beginners. These are simple, but as I warned in the beginning, like I'm so under the weather that I wouldn't be surprised if beginner locks are going to give me difficulty. Okay, just make sure I'm doing the light tension properly. There we go. Oh, that was the full set. There should be one more pin. Oh man, okay, I have to reset that. Hang on. I also know that there's 2 in here that I either need to like re-lube or that I need to replace. So you know what I'm gonna do? Give me 1 second. I have a bag over here. Here it is. And I believe I put, because there's 2 good ones that I take with me all the time. Here we go. That's one, and where's the other one? Because that one's going to be important as well. I can find it. That's not you. Oh well, I'll live. Actually, I think I already have it out. Alright. So I need to relube this one, or might have to replace it. This one I know is going to work. So my apologies. Because again, I have to get new equipment and stuff anyhow. So let's try this again. Hope it's making me look bad right now. Come on, why is everything shy today? Hold on. Ah! Let me rehydrate. People, and you folks out there have seen me pick these like a million times before. I'm just like so out of it, like I already just want to take a nap. Hold on. I'm actually going to hold this in a weird way just to feel for something here. Hold on. Okay. Why do not anyone want to open. Why are you acting like this now? Do I need to sit down? What's going on? Oh, okay, so I got that one. Oh boy. Alright, so here's what's going on, folks. I'm going to play some music. I'm going to go on a break for a second because remember, I am sick with the plague. So I'm going to see if I'm going to take like a 2-3 minute break. I realize my forehead's full of sweat. And then we're going to get right back to this lock. So I apologize. I normally eat through all of these, as you've seen in past episodes, but similar to the one where I got carbon monoxide poisoning, my hands are shaking everywhere. I'm having a similar issue right now. I'm doing okay. Just give me a bit. Just give me like 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll be right back to the episode, okay? So enjoy the music. I'll be right back. Hi, everybody. Alright, so I'm about to get the other final one of these that I have. Sorry for the break. What I believe I may have determined, and I hope this is not the case, I need to replace all of these anyhow, but what I'm worried about is that I'm having a hard time feeling things with my hands. So my fear is that this episode, while I'll still go through with it, because there's other types of locks, I might have to revisit this episode at one point because I'm having a difficulty of trying to get a feel for everything with my hands, which is a problem because that's very important in lockpicking. So this is the last one that's in my kit. And I'm using the monkey paw that Lock Noob designed. It's really well detailed and everything. I love this handle and stuff. And it's a notched pick. And normally, like, if I have a hard time feeling for things, this is the pick that gives me the most amount of feedback. But my issue is that for some reason, with the Masterlock 140s, I'm having a hard time feeling anything. Which is going to be a problem because you have to feel in order to tension. And if you can't tension, you can't really pick any sort of lock. So this has been an interesting handicap where basically the master locks are probably now going to look better because I'm spraying this off cam. Because the super easy master locks are now made more difficult because essentially now I'm handicapped by this disease because I'm basically kind of losing somewhat sensations in my hands. So I'm going to try to make the best that I can with this episode. I'm going to get a napkin for this. And we still have other types of locks. We're going to look at master lock combination locks. We're looking at weird designs that they've come up with over the years. So, like, even if I can't open these stupid simple ones, don't worry. We have a lot that we're going to have to go through here. So just hang on tight, everybody. Do not worry in the slightest. And overall, again, I've been doing okay with my health and stuff. It's just, yeah, it's kind of like if you break your leg, normally you could just, like, walk up the stairs, but now that your leg's broken, it's more difficult to try to climb the stairs, you know what I mean? Now, what I can show, probably, on air, is that you can rake these open. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to single pin pick these Masterlock 140s. But if everything goes right, I should be able to rake these open with relatively ease. Otherwise, my hands then are truly screwed. There we go. So yeah, because I don't have much precision in my hands right now, you can easily rake all of these open. I can do that again because I don't know if that got picked up on camera. So you can easily rake them open. They're normally easy to pick for people who know what they're doing or have full control of their hands. But because of that, that means they're also trivial to rake. But for some reason right now, and I'm going to try to single pin pick all of these. Even ones that I know I have a hard time opening, which funny enough are these now. What's really weird about the Masterlock lock number 140s is that they actually do have a security pin in them. Most of these have that one spool pin in them, but they're so poorly implemented that basically it doesn't really even count. So that was the Masterlock 140. I'm sorry it took this long. This makes it seem like it's some sort of amazing lock. It's not. If you look at past episodes, you have seen me just eat through them in under a second. But that should tell you how bad the Delta variant is of COVID-19. So please go get tested. Please wear a mask outside. Stay indoors most of the time. Be safe. To me, the one up from that is the Masterlock number 3. Watch. This one's going to be easy to open. Watch. I wouldn't be surprised if I have a hard time doing this just because of my hands, but just watch. Because that sounds like my type of luck. And the only reason why I think the Masterlock number 3 is slightly different than the Masterlock 140, despite basically having the same insides, 4 pins, slightly 2 pins are off, you correct those and you're good, is because one, well, they're slightly heavier. These rivets, when you put a tensioning tool in them, and you turn, they will catch all these rivets. So sometimes you figure it a full set, but you actually have the Masterlock number 3 open, but you can't turn it, not because it's locked, but because it's stuck on the rivet. So I tell people to only put the tension wrench a third or half the way in, so it leaves this gap. If you're really skilled, you can tension it when it's flush, and then when it's rotating, you could, if you know how to tension right, pull it out slightly, and then continue to turn. But I just recommend putting in like a third of the way, even half of the way to tension. Also, whatever lightweight tension you did for your 140s and 120s, you put slightly a bit more on there, and that seems to be the right amount of tension for most of these. So, despite my better judgment, we're going to try this again with Masterlock number 3. I think I was over-tensioning there, because I did feel things move. So here we go. We'll try that again. It's like, well, I am thinking about the lock picking, like my brain has been thinking what it's been thinking of since Wednesday, which is it's completely full of fuck, to be perfectly honest. And yeah, it's not going because I'm definitely accidentally over-tensioning this. So let me put in my longer tension wrench in there, which could honestly solve that problem. Put it in there like that. Okay. Do that a little bit more. Okay. Actually, let me put this more than me in my hand. There we go. All right. Like a big boy. There we go. Done from back to front. And again, if my hands are so sloppy that I can't single pin pick these like I could like I couldn't with the 140s just due to my physical condition, I will rake this open to show how trivial these are and that there's no security measures or pins when it comes to these sort of things. It's just literally like, unfortunately, I've now realized that this episode couldn't have been in a more bad timing because essentially I'm in a weakened state. So even the most simplest locks are going to now pose a challenge for me, which again, I obviously have not been lockpicking since I got diagnosed because I've been focusing on recovering. So, no, these are never camera shy. I've opened these, thank you 3D but I've opened these multiple times before. You can, not right now, but you can go look at any past episode. I've also done this stuff in person. I've taught 5-year-olds how to open these. It's literally that, like, I'm 34. My hands right now feel like they're arthritic at 67. So that's what's going on right now. And just to double check for this one, let me just spray it. Gonna get all sloppy and everything, like how she likes it. Okay, another napkin. Just to make sure there's nothing in there that's like caught up or gunked up or anything. I regularly lube up these locks. Like now that I have lock lube, uh, I now that I regularly have lock lube, like almost every time I do either a live stream or a session, I respray all of the internal mechanisms on these guys. But yeah, I have a feeling because all the stuff I normally used to feel is not there, and it's the same of how I can only half smell and half taste things. Right. I mean, I eventually wear out too, especially heavy ones like this. Ironically, I think this one's going to open the easiest. I'm going to get to that in a moment. But yeah, I honestly think it's because I I honestly think it's because I have this illness, this stupid plague that I got from New York that I'm losing control of my hands right now. Which means the good news is that in September, for the next episode of Master of Unlocking, I should be completely fine by then. So that means that we can go back to like normal scheduled programming. Heck, I'll even open the ones I couldn't open that I know I could open on air again, just to prove that I'm better. But right now, I am legit having difficulty with these locks because I'm literally not feeling any feedback that I should feel when I just do these. Oh, here we go. That's an open. So yeah, I know it seemed like I took forever for this, but again, I'm like, I'll put it this way, right? I think this actually kind of tells you how skilled I am, that I can still rake one of these open, and I can single pick one of these open, despite having the worst disease since like polio and Spanish influenza. So that's I guess something right there, you know. I think if I had like if I was a super beginner, my hands would just fall off. I wouldn't be able to do anything. And also, I might actually pick it with this sort of tensioning, which you're not supposed to do it that way. But right now, it seems like it actually works for the most part. Keyword is for the most part. I think I overset it a pin. That's untension and tension again. Because I want to see if I can pick this twice. Now I'll rake this open. And I'll quickly go back to the Masterlock 140 and see if we have any luck there. So yeah, my hands are already exhausted. So what I will do is I will rake this open. Because exactly like the 140, because it's a very similar setup, these are really trivial to rake. And like, if you know what raking is or you know how to rake, it almost takes no skill to do it. Let me get a double peek just because my arms are a little bit tired, which is good because this next one is going to be a bypass, and I also can pretty much sit down for this. I got my first lockpick a month ago, trying to get a blue belt. Okay, are you from our lockpicking? Because usually when there's belt talks, that means our lockpicking. Because a future episode I'm going to do at one point is I'm going to get a bunch of different locks from that thing. I'm going to literally start off at the lowest rank, and we're going to see how far we can go and finally determine what belt I can reach. And for some reason, my tensioning is off. Hold on. So hi from our lockpicking. That. Besides busyness, me being sick is the reason why I haven't really posted much on there, especially recently. There we go. That's the. For some reason, I find the city rakes not only work well on low-level master locks, but a city rake, especially the tip of it, really works well. That's just where you rock it back and forth. They work really well for master lock number 3s for some reason. I think it's because it replicates that similar flat bitting on the front. Yeah, Lockpickers Unite. I'm also on the Discord. I rarely use Discord. Like, to me, like, Discord, like, I'm an older millennial. I use Discord, and I have used Discord, especially since, like, DEF CON and stuff is on it. But, like, I'm enough where, like, I don't use that as, like, my main chat. Like, I'm still old enough where I'm using, like, Instagram and Facebook to chat to people. And I kind of miss, ironically, the days of, like, AOL Instant Messenger and Yahoo Instant Messenger. Which the only reason why anyone used Yahoo Instant Messenger was to do webcam chat. And and I love how whether you always had that one friend or five friends who were work colleagues or business oriented who used MSN Messenger, and that's the only reason why you had it, was to either talk to like one of your old folk parents, or more accurately, to talk to the rest of the employees at your job. Otherwise, you just junk that shit. And now we have the same sentiment, but with Slack. I just think that's hilarious. Not a fan of either platform either, but they have the best. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you have to evolve and go on with the times. I'm just happy that I grew up in an area that was still saturated with technology, which means that, um, what does that mean? What that means is, what does it mean? Spit it out. No, that I'm glad that I can, like, there's new platforms and technology and stuff over time. And I'm like my parents' generation, even though my parents were actually pretty decent with technology, um, that I can at least, oh, my hands are already tired. That I can, at least, whatchamacallit, uh, keep up and, like, learn with the times. Like, I used to play, like, Super Mario Brothers on the NES. I played old Atari 2600 games when I was little. Remember when Sonic the Hedgehog came out? I got Genesis with Sonic the Hedgehog. And now it's like, I play Fortnite. I play Mortal Kombat 11. I need to go back to playing more video games. Here we go. There we go. Now I single pick this one. There we go. I'm trying to play like Knockout City right now, and I'm not looking forward to Call of Duty because if you haven't heard the news, they've officially confirmed that every single division of Activision, including Blizzard, now works on Call of Duty full time. There we go. For some reason now I'm feeling, so it seems like I have to kind of tension it in an odd way in order to get that sensation back. And my hands are tired, so now I'm going to take a break. But yeah, so these are the two, the Masterlock 140 and the Masterlock number 3. And they, to me, the most exemplify Masterlock, which is, okay, let me do one more thing, and I'll tell you why that exemplifies Masterlock, because this will allow me to rest my hand. So you probably noticed this guy, right? And you'll probably notice that it looks a lot like the Masterlock that you're looking at on the left. But there's no, it doesn't say Masterlock on it. It doesn't have the white stripes. It has the same body design. Does not say hardened on it. There's no sticker, but you can easily peel these off. What gives? Well, if you look at the underside, you'll notice that these are made in China. I can't even do the Trump voice because of the disease. But yeah, this, which was provided by our co-founder G.I. Jack, is a Chinese knockoff of Masterlock. So one of the other interesting things about Masterlock is that they are so prolific that a lot of these designs people have licensed legally or illegally from Masterlock and have made clones. So even if you try to avoid getting a Masterlock product, a shitty one, you actually might still get a Masterlock product because it literally might be the same exact internals, but it's just under a different name. That's actually why I have the American lock on the table, because, as we're going to get into, sometimes Masterlock also does the same thing, where you think it's a Masterlock, but they've actually licensed or partnered with a different company, so there's different internals. Now, why did Jack give me the Chinese knockoff? The clone is interesting. So, in my experience, I have a harder time picking the clone for some reason. That's just me and my skill level. I have seen people do both of these, and they're like, it's exactly the same. So, when I'm not sick, that's just me. I'll even count the pins in here. Let's see. Maybe there's an extra pin. Let's find out. Oh, God, I also really need to, like, spray in here. Hold on. 1, 2, 4. Yep, 4 pins. Just like the OG, it's an exact clone. And for some reason I have a harder time picking the clone. Don't know why. That doesn't matter though. Because let's actually rake open that Masterlock number 3 again, because it's, to me, depending on my condition, should be way easier than me trying to find the key again. If I can do this. I know I can do this. Hang on. Instead of that, I actually might be able to just strike it open. See if I can zip it, and that's what you did. Actually, I'm over-tensioning, that's why. Come on. You can do it. I know you can do it. Don't make me look for the key. Oh, I'll double peek you. Come on, you prick. Okay, my arms are getting a little tired, so I am going to tilt the camera down. And you're not going to see it on the Elmo, but I am going to sit down. And I'm going to attempt to break this open just because this is more comfortable for me right now. So I apologize. I'm literally, like, disabled right now thanks to illness. Maybe I should just single pin kick it open while I'm sitting down here. Try that. I hate this because I usually open these in like 3 seconds. This kind of reminds me of, like, unfortunately I have so many friends and relatives who are way older than I am who unfortunately suffered strokes. And a lot of them were like really talkative people. And what was so frustrating, and you could tell it in their eyes, this would be my nightmare too, because you can see right now and hear right now, I'm a goddamn blabbermouth. And like, nothing's worse than being a really talkative person, and then you're like struck with something like a stroke, and you find out that you can't speak, that like your brain's sending the correct signals, but nothing's coming out, or it's coming out really slow, or it's coming out like garbled. And so like I'm kind of going through a similar thing right now, trying to do the locks this episode, where it's like I'm going through all the techniques, but I literally can't feel anything for some reason, and it's really bothering me. To the point where after I disinfect and clean off the table, I'm probably going to take a nap again. Well, I'm going to eat dinner, which I have to cook, and then I'm going to take a nap. And I've been taking it easy. Honestly, this is probably the most amount of work that I've done since Wednesday. And most of the time, sorry. I was starting to turn into a McDonald's employee. I'm sorry. What happens when I talk a lot. I apologize for that. And so I also try disinfecting air and stuff too. Don't trust me. In September, if you see me in person with these tools again, I will have disinfected them. In fact, if you are so paranoid that you won't believe me, I will disinfect the tools in front of the tools and locks in front of you, just so that you are safe and you also have a peace of mind. Okay? So just letting you know about that. Okay? And I honestly think now the problem is not that I can't feel anything with my right hand. I think because of my sickness, I have no tension control anymore. Anyhow, let's just get to the point then. Let me just wave my hands around a bit. Let's get it relaxed. So, normally this is really easy to open. If I opened any of these locks, these other locks here, right? Probably this one in the future. If you open a shackle and it's like there's a cutout, but it's curved, that's ball bearing. Actually, I'm an idiot. Hold on. I have an Abus with a key in it. Hold on. This is not a Masterlock. This is an Abus. This is another decently popular company. This is a 7240. But you see how the shackle here, put it on a black background. You see how the shackle, there's a curved cutout to it, right? That is because, and it might be a little hard to see inside, but there are actual ball bearings in the lock mechanism. And that's actually what is holding the shackle in place. The reason why modern Masterlock number 3s and most modern locks have ball bearings now is because it makes it really hard to A, shim shackle, which we might try later, where there's a type of shim that you can put on between the shackles and it pops open. And it prevents a type of bypass that was really common from the Masterlock 1 through 5s up until literally 8 to 10 years ago. Meaning you can still, if you find a Masterlock number 3 or 5 that looks beat up, you might be able to use this bypass. And that's why I have the Chinese knockoff, because it only has notches holding it, not ball bearings. And so that means it's susceptible to a certain attack that I'm trying. Oh, here it is. One slipped out. This kit has all my bypasses in it pretty much, and the one awesome pick from Kilamaru. And it's these guys. These two brothers, or sisters, I don't really know what gender any of these picks are, so I apologize if I misgender my own lock picks. Sparrows calls these well, they're just not generally known as the Masterlock bypass. They have a certain name Sparrow calls these, but basically they have there's a curved sort of hook tip to them, really thin points, and one's thinner than the other. One's just known as the bypass 2. Bypass 1 is known as the Talon Hook. And so this is how, back in the day, if you did not want to rake or pick these old Masterlock number 3s open, and or you wanted to, or you find an old Masterlock number 3 or a knockoff like this Chinese one, here's what you do, and I hope it doesn't prematurely open. You take the Talon one, flat side, facing the top pin, push all the pins up, push it all the way back until it hooks in. See, it's hooked in. It's not going to go anywhere. Oh, and it already prematurely opened. That's how even crappier the Chinese ones are. Let's try to do this more properly. So it's hooked in, and then you take the non-Talon shaped one here. You put it in the opposite direction. So this is the flat side facing away the pins, the tip curved up towards the pin. Put that in there. These are now held into place. They're not going anywhere. And you can either push these in or wiggle them back and forth, and they open. You see how fast that was? So you know how I was here, and remember my hands are screwed, and I'm like trying to rake it open? Usually it opens about 3 to 2 seconds. We can do that in under a second with these when you have the notches. And I'll open it again with this bypass, and I'll show you the notches in there. Now I also want to make a note that this doesn't work on all notched lock systems. You see how these are just these simple notched wedges? Let me try to get a black background for you. See how those are just like wedges? And you can actually see in the mechanism, there's this wedge here that holds it in place. And in fact, if I stick it in the lock mechanism, you can see me manipulate that wedge in there. And Masterlock literally got away with this design until a couple of years ago, and then finally upgraded all these to ball bearings, so it stops. If you try to put that in the Masterlock number 3s, it just hits a wall. There's nothing to hook onto. I'll read the check. 2 taps on the hammer's side. That might actually work. We're actually going to try that with a different lock in a moment. We're going to find that out, by the way. It's funny. We're going to get there, because the rest of the stuff we should breeze through pretty quick. Now, this is why I'm bringing that up. Because this heavy bastard that you've seen on a couple of episodes before, and it says it on the lock body itself, is the Masterlock number 15. Heavy, thick, strong. Basically gets all the ladies and all the gay dudes. There is no way you're getting through this with this measly mallet. It's going to be hard to get through with a saw. You are not clipping this open. You probably see these on most businesses. In fact, one of the reasons why I have certain particular locks is because I just don't order any locks. Sometimes I do and get them on the internet, but I try to order local so that when you go to our meetings physically, a lot of these locks are locks that you see on stores and businesses and people's buildings and houses and government facilities and schools everywhere. So I kind of want to get people to know, and I've had people come in to our meetings, to the DCG21 meetings every third Friday of the month. Next one's going to be on the 17th, and hopefully we'll actually be able to meet in person for once. With people wanting to do that safely, social distancing, by the way, at Subculture. But, like, we've had people who, like, were like, oh my god, we have these locks at our schools. Or, like, oh man, we use these at work and stuff. When they pick them open, or they've seen that I have them, and they're like, wait, you have them, does that mean that? Uh-huh. You taking them, really? You want to try it? Bam, done. That's why I do that. And it's to increase security awareness. Because it's one thing when you see hackers, like, blow open some quantum encrypted 3D, third-dimensional circuitry mainframe Watson supercomputer that Google owns. It's another thing when you see someone break Gmail in real time because everyone uses that service. It's something people know. It's what the laymen know. What you and me use every day. And that's why I use some of these. A lot of people use Masterlock number 3s, 140s, 15s, all these type of things, except for maybe this guy. This one's weird. So, here's the thing about Masterlock, right? And this is why this is titled 100 Years of Shitty Locks. The way I describe, there's two things you need to know about Masterlock. One, if I could easily rake and pick and bypass these three, let's just assume that I did, because, I'm sick. And again, you can look at previous episodes to see how fast I can open these usually when I'm not dying from the plague. Why is Masterlock so common? Why do people still buy from them? And by the way, we're going to see these in a moment. There are good, secure locks made by Masterlock. There's a myth that all of Masterlocks are terrible. That's not true. Mostly true, but it's not true. There are, and I have some, and there are some here on this table right now. Extremely few, but they exist. But if it seems like most of these have giant security flaws, like their older model ones that are also cloned, and why does everyone buy them? Well, one, Masterlock is the lock equivalent of Microsoft or Google. What I mean by that is their business entirely runs and depends on the entire human psyche of defaults. Meaning, when you get a laptop or a new computer from most manufacturers, Amazon, Best Buy, whatever, it comes with Windows. Currently, it comes with Windows 10. Probably going to come with Windows 11. Which had the best beta ever, okay, when they accidentally leaked it themselves. The reason why most laptops come with Windows is not because Windows is the best operating system. And I'm not even saying that it sucks either. There's some things that, believe it or not, Windows is good at, okay? In fact, there's things, I'll put it this way, Windows can talk to most printers. That doesn't mean it doesn't have printer problems. It can talk to most printers. Meanwhile, most of the time, Linux can barely even talk with me, never mind a printer. Just saying, that's true, okay? We've all, as someone who uses Linux all the time, we've all struggled with that. Windows is more compatible. But the reason why they're on all these laptops and computers is not because it's the best operating system, but because Microsoft is really good at pitching deals and paying money to companies to put Windows as the default operating system for all of their products. That's why. Same thing with Google. The reason why, Gmail is actually impressive, especially back in the day compared to older email systems, but it's not the best one you could get, and it's not the most secure one or whatever. Same thing with Google Calendar, all of that. It's because that's the default. Or even better, Google Search. Honestly, outside of occasionally searching for a picture that's hard to find, I've always used DuckDuckGo. I can use DuckDuckGo or a search instance and pretty much find anything that I need, right? And it does it way better and way faster than Google does. But when you get a browser, when you load up basic Firefox, especially Google Chrome, anything that uses a Google Chrome engine, which I think is called Blink, when you load it up and you just type in the search bar like Rule 34 Mario pictures, or Deviant Olem getting hit with pies, It's going to go to Google because Google has paid all these browser companies to be the default search engine on that web browser or device. Masterlock is like that with locks. Masterlock is really good at talking to Home Depot, Lowe's, and everyone. So they're basically the entire lock wall. That's not like door locks like Schlage and Kwikset. That's why everyone has Masterlocks. And because people know way less about physical security than computer security for some reason, despite physical security being way older since basically our species began. Or, I'll put it this way, ever since we started building indoor enclosures. People think that if you have a lock, you have automatically have like the best Fort Knox security ever. Kind of like, I don't know, when they put that little certification of like hacker tested on the website, that they think that all of a sudden like the NSA can't break into their website or whatever. You know, it's like that type of stuff. So one, Masterlock knows how to sell to selling companies. They're everywhere. That's why Masterlock's everywhere. That's why everyone buys them. It's not because they're the best locks. It's because Masterlock, they can put their product everywhere. People do not research, except for very recently, which is why me, Lockpicking Lawyer, Bosnianville, Lock Noob, Fish Picks, Rook Knight, Dark Arts Lockpicking, Sky Pirate, many other people. You can go to our Lockpicking to find them all. There's many different, we've covered this in past episodes. This is why we record videos. This is one of the reasons why I live stream. This is one of the reasons why I do this in public. Is to let everyone know what are good locks, what are bad locks, why they're bad, why they're good, etc. I'm being really honest. Because otherwise, they're going to coast. And that's what Masterlock has done. Again, that 4-pin, 2 pins off sort of thing, they have not changed since the 30s. And they still don't change them between the different lock bodies. And that's why after this long-winded thing, we're going to attempt to do the Masterlock 15. Because this has actually 5 pins in it, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So 1 extra pin. There's no security pins in here. It is literally, besides the 1 extra pin, literally the Masterlock 15, despite, as you saw when I picked it out of the packaging 2 episodes ago, it's rated a 10 in its own weird internal Masterlock security, which is why I love picking this, because I got to debunk this stupid rating system. There is really no difference between this and the Masterlock number 3. It's the same. You can see the key on the back. It's this, like, where's the other key? This is the Masterlock 140, right? Key? And this, and so on the right is the Masterlock 140 with the 4 pin. On the left is the Masterlock 15, the one that's rated 10. So the 140s are rated security 3. That's on the right. Masterlock 15 is rated 10 on the left, including in terms of its picking resistance. And you'll notice it's the same sad-ass flat bitting with, like in this case, 3 pins instead of 2 pins off to open the goddamn thing. That's why I was able to pick it out of the case without cutting it. And I'm going to attempt to single pin pick it, because I'm going to laugh if this is going to be easier, because I know exactly how to do this. If not, they're even more trivial to rake than the other ones. So let's find out. Let's see if I have to eat my words. Okay, feel that one there? Push that one up. I think I either missed one or overset one. I might have to grab the monkey paw. Okay, let me get the monkey paw. If not, we're going to rake this guy. The actual reason for me why this is tougher is because it's a way heavier lock. It's way bulkier and heavier. Nope. Well, here we go. I just have to, hold on. Let's see if I can do this without making the pins drop. I just need to, hold on. Move it off, pull that out, okay. Turn it and open. See, this was even easier, probably because it's a lot bigger, so I have to be less accurate. I just single pin picked that. Number 10 rating. Max pick resistance. Picked it open in what, like 8 seconds? Let's try raking it open. Because as we're going to find out at the end of this episode, this is Masterlock's legacy, people. This is most of their products. And that's why, and that's why I'm going to get to the other point about most Masterlock products. The second thing you need to know, about, the third thing I should say, so the first thing you need to know about Masterlock products is that the reason why everyone owns Masterlocks, besides the fact that lock sporters find most of their products easy and thus good to teach for themselves and others as for beginners, is that it's not because they're the best, it's because Masterlock's good at putting their products everywhere. Just like how Microsoft is good at making Windows being the default on every piece of hardware, and Google's really good at putting the Google search engine as the default for every mobile device and web browser out there. Okay? 2, they prey on the fact that people don't know about locks, so they think just getting any lock will protect them, which is usually the case for OPSEC. Like, it will protect anyone just jiggling like the door handle or banging on your locker door. But they think just by having the lock that, like, a master thief can't get in or something. That's the problem, too, so they exploit that. That's why they don't like lockpicking lawyer and people like us. That's why many of us started doing this. And 3, it's what I'm about to get into, and you've noticed a pattern so far, is that Masterlock has a nasty habit because they constantly clone their stuff, and because everyone trusts their locks for many, many years, they never change anything. I always say Masterlock, for the most part, is like the Mexican food of locks. So, like, I don't know if you've ever heard Jim Gaffigan's stand-up. Really great comedian, by the way. I just got to see him live years ago. He is tall. He's like a foot and a half taller than me, and I'm 5'10", by the way. 5'10 and a half, depending on which convenience store I come out of. And, might have to blow my nose in a moment just to decongest. So anyhow, he has a great stand-up routine where he talks about where he used to work at as a waiter at a Mexican restaurant. It would drive him crazy is people would constantly ask what were in the different food items, and that's when he quickly realized that most Mexican food, or Tex-Mex, is the same ingredients done in different orders prepared in different styles. So as he would say, they would go up and people would be like, what are in these tacos? And he's like, vegetables, cheese, meat wrapped in a tortilla shell. What's in this burrito? Vegetables, meat, cheese wrapped in a tortilla shell. How do you prepare the quesadillas? It's meat and cheese and vegetables, and he's like, it's a conspiracy. And that's what's known as the Masterlock paradox, as lockpicking lawyer put it. Where, people are like, well, what's inside this Masterlock 140D? And thank you, Art Phoenix Bra, for following on Twitch. Thank you for that follow. People are like, oh, what's in this Masterlock 140D? And I'm like, it's 4 pins with no security pins, and 2 of them are offset. Okay, well, what's in this Masterlock number 3? How's this set up? 4 pins, and there's no security pins, and there's only 2 that are offset. Well, what's in this Masterlock number 5? 4 pins, and there's 2 offset. What's in this Masterlock number 15? It's 5 pins, and there's no security pins, and it's the same combination in every single one. Which is why you can just pick most of these open. You can teach little kids how to pick most of them open, and why they're really easy to rake. And that's, as you're going to see at the end, if I do this correctly, part of Masterlock's legacy. That's the majority of their locks, okay? Most of them are just different shackles, different block bodies, cool print patterns, different shackle hardening strengths. But they all have the same pinning, and no security pins. And usually the same number of pins, and the same number of pins that you have to manipulate. This is why it gets monotonous after a while, and that's why once you start exiting out of beginner or intermediate, you either A, start looking up other lock companies like Avis and Brink and all these other ones, or you start finding odd master locks, okay? And that's what we're going to get into now. This part is probably going to be really quick. So, you probably have seen these guys up here. Actually, this one. And honestly, at first glance, besides I just happen to have one that has a black stripe and one here, they're very, I just spoiled that part, very similar to each other, right? You have that same hardened shackle, Jesus, I'll just leave this here. You have the same hardened shackled body here. They're similar shape. They'll say Masterlock on it. Have that rivet on there. But then let's look at the keyholes, right? What the heck's going on here? Like, we know that's a pin tumbler. What is that? We covered these on previous episodes. This is what's known as a warded lock. Warded locks, and these type of warded system, is a way older design. I'm not going to go into it because we've covered it multiple times before. You can look at past episodes, even say in the title, covering these type of locks. And unlike the pin and tumbler key, which has these different cuts in it that moves pins up and down, you have these bizarro keys that come with it, if you've seen these. They're called wards. And what they do is they slip through the different, like these actual sheets of metal, they actually sometimes have gaps and sometimes they don't. Unlike this, which just holds the pin tumbler mechanism in place, these actually are part of the lock mechanism, every single one of these metal sheets, right? And so what happens here is when you, first of all, they're all different patterns. You find the right key, put that in. And then the tip of it actually engages with the actuator that holds this shackle. And then you turn it, and it opens. Now, interesting if you've noticed, all of these only have one wedge in them, even though these are a pain in the butt, if not near impossible, to shim with the shackle. And because of these worded designs, I can turn them clockwise, but unlike most locks, I can also turn it counterclockwise, and they open. Not only do they have these durable Masterlock type body designs, like the Masterlock number 3s and 15s, which actually, the Masterlock 15 really looks like a super older, like the Masterlock 15 looks like it's looking at you, looking at this warded lock going, don't talk to me or my son ever again. You know, like these actually look way more similar to each other. But the thing is about this is that because there's less moving parts in here, it's just slots of metal that don't move, and then the actuator that's buried in deep. You find a lot of these in storage units, outside areas. That's why these are still used, because they're way more tough and durable, especially in extremely cold conditions. Okay? Like blizzards and hurricanes and stuff like that. See these on emergency sheds, things like that. The warded mechanism used to be really common. In fact, one of the oldest examples of the warded mechanism was actually back during the Roman Empire. You're probably wondering, if these are so durable and way more simple to manufacture and use, why don't we use these anymore? Well, that's because some asshole lock sporter, like an ancestor of mine, basically realized, okay, so it only engages with the actuator tip, right, on these keys. So first of all, that means all these gaps here don't mean anything. If you make it thin enough, you can just pass through all these, which means you only have to worry about the tip because, you know, it's just the tip. So basically some asshole or a group of assholes sat together, figured out all the common actuator tip types, and then came up with 5 different tip profiles. And sometimes, and these are still labeled as these by companies, but it's technically a misnomer. Sometimes these are referred to as warded lock picks, but these are way more of a bypass system because you're not moving each individual mechanism to open, like trying to find the thing, like single pin picking, or not even raking where you're using a technique. This is more of like what I did with that Chinese knockoff where it's a bypass. These are just the 5 most common tips, and outside of size differences, you know, different size tips, these work on basically almost every single worded lock. So let's find out. So here's a double-headed one. I'm going to put that in. We might be lucky on the first try. I'm going to stick that in, turn it on. Put that actuator in there. Nope, that didn't go. So maybe it uses only one prong. Let's find the short one-prong version of that. Let's try that. Sometimes you get lucky and you do it on the first try. Sometimes you don't. Nope, that didn't work. All right, let's try the one prong, but super long. Nope. Okay. Well, let's try the double prong one that's super long. And it opened. So we don't even need this key anymore. Screw that. We can just, now that we know which profile, and there's only 5 that ever exist for any of these, we can just open this one all day, every day, as much as we like. Because you occasionally find these in like government facilities and other things, it's always good, even though it's uncommon to use, to carry a set of warded bypass tools. And sometimes, by the way, the key doesn't look in this weird thing. Sometimes they have weird entryways like this, and it looks more like a normal key, but it works on the same exact principle. The only reason why I'm not going to do the wardedness right now, and actually this you can only turn one way, is because this is a pain in order to turn. But that's that. Now, let's go to another thing, and then I will have to take one more break, and then we're going to finish the rest, just because, again, I'm under the weather. I need more liquids. This is the last of this. This is actual medicine. And not type of way, not recreational. Like, that's actually saving my life. We're going to cover these real quick, take a break, and then we just have these left and the special thing, okay? And then that's the end of the episode. Just also want to know, I could still see it at $100 at DLive. Thank you so much. We'll submit all of that to upgrade our DLive account. We might do more things into your honor. Thank you so much. If you're on Twitch, by the way, at the end, we always raid another stream. So stay around, because sometimes we raid something relevant, something nerdy, something hacker, something really weird, but it's always something. But we're not going away. We're like 2/3 through. Let me just cover these guys real quick. Go on a break, and then we'll get to these gals. So, Masterlock just doesn't make pin and tumbler locks and warded locks. They're also very famous for making combination locks. And I will put it this way. Basically, Masterlock seems to have really liked their pin and tumbler lock designs from the 1930s, because they seem to have a very similar design philosophy for their combination locks, right? And probably this MVP of the show is this guy, which is known as the Masterlock 175. This one's known as the Masterlock 175D. Now, for any combination lock, or most combination locks, I should say, you would want one of these. This is a decoding tool. All it is it's a thin piece of metal in this wedge-shaped like design. And it's super thin. 15 thousandths of an inch, I believe. It makes that twang sound. I don't know if I can pick it up on the camera or not, but it makes a twangy sound. I only have one of these for now. I plan to get like 2 more. I know a lot of people that go through 8 million of these. And just a note, you don't have to have one with a fancy handle. This one came from Sparrows, and it's been like my baby. I've shown on air, you can literally get a soda can or a beer can, cut this in this shape, leave a chunk at the bottom as a handle, and do the same stuff. All you need. Obviously, wash it, too. But yes. So, with most of these, what you're going to be doing, as we covered in previous episodes, is you're doing different techniques to feel for the sides for the wheel, right? Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to do that with this one. This one is literally just to look at, okay? This is just me to explain, because, as the lockpicking lawyer found out, I don't know if they've changed something in here, or what I believe and my mentor believes this might be a defect, because we did probe this, and one of the wheels, I think it's the last wheel, is unnaturally larger than the other. You can actually feel that, because I can turn these wheels mostly fine, and then when I do the last wheel, it's like, like that. So it's hard to decode that last wheel, and I can't show you the other thing about this. What I can do is show it to you on another one, because the 175 is probably the most famous. It's basically the Masterlock 3 equivalent of combination locks. It was made in the 1970s, and it has a really famous thing where you don't even have to decode the wheels. You can actually stick the decoder between, I believe it's either left or the right side, I think it's the left side, of the third wheel, and you know that because the serial number is the left side. So 1, 2, 3, third wheel. Stick that in, and I can't do that because this wheel is unnaturally large. Put it in the lock body, push down on this, use this to move the actuator, and it'll pop open. Again, because of the mutation, I can't do that here. But this is the nuts part. Masterlock made this design in 1975. Not only has this been cloned in their own products and many other combination locks that uses 4 wheel dials since then, and still does today. They still make modern products with that internal one. And this is probably, as Locknoob has said, I agree with him, one of the crappiest locks that were ever made in existence. I see this combination lock fairly often in Jersey City alone. It's annoying. It's called Masterlock MX something, whatever. Just note this design. It's like silver, has this rubberized bottom, shiny wheels, M176. And there's a bunch of stuff afterwards. There's so many ways you could do this. You have a keyhole on the side if you forget the combination. It is a 4-pin key. You can tension this with a small tension wrench and single pin pick these with preferably a 15,000th inch pick, which I'm not going to do today because the interest of time and I'm tired. Or if you have a small enough rake, preferably an S rake, you can get this over the cut. No, I'm not going to do that. Or you can go in, as I've shown in past episodes where I put the decoder, and easily go in and decode the wheels. We don't even have to do that either, because this has the same insides as this guy. This lock, that if I remember debuted 8 years ago, has the same exact design with the same exact security flaw as the 175 from the 1970s. Just like how the Masterlock number 3 has not changed since the 1930s. You're starting to see the problem here? So, we're going to do that here. So we're going to take this, we're going to take the flat end, and here's the key. You don't use the key. You don't use the handle. You hold the base of the metal so that way you don't bend and break this thing. I'm going to put it left side in the lock body. And it's going to go all the way in, right? And you're going to hold it at the base here, not the handle. This is just for when you have it in your toolbox. This. There you go. We're going to press the shackle down, move that actuator up, and it opens. Do that again. In this case, left side of the third wheel. You might have to experiment a bit, but it's always the third wheel. You know it's the third wheel because the serial number is left side. 1, 2, 3, third wheel. This is one of the few, this, again, just like in real life, you don't want to be the third wheel. Press the shackle down, move that actuator out of the way, and it opens. It's faster than you doing the combo or even using the key on this side. So, literally, this came out 8 years ago. This design came out in the 1970s. They have the exact same internal. Same way how, even though I don't have one, I could have a Masterlock from 1938, and then this Masterlock number 3 that I got 4 years ago. Oh, sorry. Same crappy bitting, right? Now, here's the weird part. And then we're going to do one experiment with one of these that I have never done on air before and take a break. Masterlock apparently had so many complaints about the 175 and the clothes that they were like, all right, you know what? Screw it. We'll actually make an upgrade. We will make a lock that has none of these flaws. We featured this on the combination lock episode. And that is this guy. This is the Masterlock 2969, 69. Nice. There's a bunch of letters after it. And you'll notice that shackle's longer, it's beefier, similar flared out design, bigger wheels. Here's the crazy part, right? So we're going to just set everything to 0. I'm going to try to do this on air. And I actually just remembered one more Masterlock that's not on here that will actually finish with that one before we go on a short break. And then we will cover the rest because the rest will only take like 10 minutes max. So the main thing is they wanted to solve the complaint about the 175 so they didn't have to hear about it again. And what they did was they basically filled the lock body with a ton of metal. So there's no way in hell you can stick anything through into the lock body of the actuator. That's not happening. Another thing that they did, and this is so Masterlock, right? Masterlock also has a bad habit of when they do security stuff, they tend to overthink everything, right? So what they did was, instead of just having these all have gates, and that's what you're feeling for with this decoding tool, the thin piece of metal, right? Normally, and you can't decode these. It's difficult because they put false gates in there. These are gates that don't actually work. They're not the real numbers. Here's the problem. They put false gates for every single number on each of the wheels. And if I remember correctly, these false gates are bigger than the true gates. So what that means, and we're going to try it because it might be the reverse because it's been a while for me. I don't need the decoding tool to even decode the upgrade over the Masterlock 175. All I need to do is put tension by pulling it on the shackle and rock the numbers back and forth. And when I find the true gate, that's that part of the wheel, and I just keep going until it opens. So we're going to attempt to try that. So this one's really loose. This one's really tight. This one's really tight. This one's really tight. Yep. This one's really tight. And you know what? Since that one was loose, I'm going to leave that at 0, okay? So let's try this. This one's tight. This one's tight. This one's tight. And actually, I'm already starting to wear out. I'm sorry that I hiked that. We're gonna go on the break sooner. I did make an episode a couple episodes back, like 10 episodes back, all about combination locks where we did this on air. You can go check that one out. Just to let you know that is the flaw. You can completely decode this without using any tools. You just pull on the shackle and you feel for the wheel. So Masterlock, in trying to make the old one a new one that can replace the old one and remove that flaw, created a completely new security flaw that didn't exist before. So that's just Masterlock. Like they said in the Lost World Jurassic Park, they're not making the same mistakes again. They're making all new ones. Now, here's the two things I'm going to leave you off with in terms of Masterlock combination locks. So the one I forgot to put on here, and this one I can do, okay, this one's easy, is probably the most common Masterlock. What's more common than the Masterlock 140? And what's more common than Masterlock 120, 140? What's more common than Masterlock number 3? The lock you remember from your childhood? These. I don't even know if they have a product name. These are just combination locks. You see these at schools, gyms, porno theaters, government facilities sometimes horrifically, all this. And I just got one in pink just because I don't have any pink locks. And that way, when I see the shiny pink thing, I know that this is this and I can just grab it out of the kit. So I've done this on air before, and I'm not too tired to do this because this is for me really easy to do. These are insanely easy to decode. And I'm going to go over once again how to decode. In the same way how these are really easy to pick when I'm not stick. And honestly, this is going to be way easier. So here we go. The first part's actually the hard part. It's all going to be, we're not using tools. We're just using shackle tension. So you have to put medium tension. So if you pull all the way up really hard, that's hard tension. So it's kind of tricky, but we're going to do medium tension. And basically the wheel's going to catch a bit. And we're going to feel, and there's going to be one where you see how we're going between like 4 to 3 numbers? There's going to be one that we're going to hit as we turn right from 0, which is the default, where it's going to barely move. And you see how we're only going between 2 numbers? Let's go back. You see how we're moving between like 20 to 15? But here we're only moving between 15 and 16 if we go farther down. See how we're moving between 13 to like 11? That little bit of wiggle, it's less than that. As you said, yeah, 15,000 D. Thank you for clarifying that. That's the correct gate. One extra step, when you find that gate turning right, because that's the first number, you get the true first number, counting 3. So that's 1, 2, 3. So our first number is 13. Okay? Now we have to remember that number, and we're going to reset this. So we do right with 0 3 times. And we're going to go that first number like if we were doing this properly. So all the way to 13. And then we're going to go past 0. And once we do, we're going to go hard tension, full on, pull that as hard as you can. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. Girls, you've probably accidentally done that to your guys. And everyone in between, you've probably seen this stuff on your favorite porn website. Just pull as hard as you can. You're going to be feeling for the same thing. It's going to go between a lot of different numbers here. As you go past Oh, sorry, you have to go past 13. Sorry. To go past the original number, and it's going to go past between a lot of these numbers. It's going to wiggle back between like 3 or 4 of these. And eventually you're going to hit one where it's barely going to move. Like it's not even going to move between 2. It's going to barely move. You see how we can barely even go past one of the numbers here? Between 39 and 0. That means 39 is our number. So now we reset the whole thing. So remember those numbers, 13 and 39, right? 2, 3, past 0 3 times. Now we're going to do it like we're setting the combination, because now we know the first 2 numbers. So we go straight to 13, like we would if we actually owned, like if we knew this lock, because I own this lock, and let everyone else use it because it's a 4. Not because it's pink, it's because it's a Masterlock. It's a 4. I like 4s, by the way. It's just this one's really bad. And then we're going to go past 0, and we're going to go straight to 39. Just like me aging, just go straight to 39. And now, this is the fun part. There's no tension on the shackle or anything. From that second number, you're going to count back 4 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull on the shackle. If it doesn't open, just keep counting 2 until it inevitably opens, okay? So we go 1, 2, okay? No open. 1, 2, okay? No open, right? 1, 2, open. 29. Combination for this one is 13, 39, 29. And that works on all of these. All of these and their variations. Heck, I even got ones that use words and other sorts of things. Hi, Block and Cybersecurity. Nice to see you. Great booth at DEF CON 29. Fun tidbit before we go on break here, and I try one experiment. When I found out that apparently the Black and Cybersecurity booth was going to be in person, I also didn't know there was going to be a couple of talks online. I was originally going to submit to that, especially when I was originally going to go, because I did a whole intro to lockpicking even more in depth than what I normally do for Blacks and Cybersecurity. It was amazing. They were really well done, professional. I kind of rushed through it because I was super nervous. That was the only time I've ever gotten nervous demoing locks to anybody, just because I respect that organization so much. And they do so much for people like me and just cybersecurity and hackers in general. Why it's great that's why I think DEF CON immediately approved your booth, because it's like, and also congratulations because that's how awesome DEF CON is, that they featured your CTF winners at the closing ceremonies where they had 1 billion people watching. That was excellent. They were like, yeah, the overflow thing. We had that for many years. Blacks and Cybersecurity. These guys were nuts. Awesome. Love that. And I can do this for a future thing for you folks, in person or remote. Someone during that whole workshop asked, hey, I didn't want to be rude, but like, how does lockpicking like relate to cybersecurity, like as a practice and even as a business? And I did answer that, but I thought about it a lot. So originally, for your booth at DEF CON, I was going to do an entire talk, not a workshop. I would have workshopped locks physically there if I was there. I was going to do a talk, and I would have loved to do it remotely. Things didn't work out. But I'm willing to do this in the future just for Blacks and Cybersecurity. Not this show, not at our meeting, not at Hope, not at DEF CON Core, just for Blacks and Cybersecurity. A talk about how you can apply physical lock security, particularly lockpicking and lock bypassing, to learning and improving your cybersecurity field, with the particular thing which is very important is to actually see the forest for the trees. That's a talk I'm exclusively going to do to you guys. We can email this later when I'm not dying from the plague. But I do want to try one thing that the lockpicking lawyer brought up fairly recently, like 2 months ago, that I've never tried. Because he also had that giant wheel thing and couldn't get through this. But apparently, like someone said earlier in the comments, there in the chat, there's a thing where if you push down on the shackle slightly and hit it really hard, wrap it with a hammer, it might just pop open. I've never tried that. I'm a little weak, but we're going to try to do that right now for a couple of seconds. Then we're going to go on break, and we're going to look at these locks, and then I'm going to do the last big lock at the end. And again, thank you for everyone watching so far. If you like the content that you can see as you've all been doing throughout past episodes, you can like, share, and subscribe on Twitch, Live, and YouTube. Also, hi out there on Diode Zone. My condolences for Facebook. And all you hackers watching through Tor, you guys are the elite people. We do get notifications. I'm so happy we have 100 followers now on DLive. I hope it stays that way for a day or 3. That way we can upgrade. Oh, God. Party's over. And Commander's here. And Commander's here. Yep, I'm hitting things with a hammer for once. For once, I'm not using the hammer to beat my meat. Instead, I'm beating my subs, a.k.a. my locks. But this is something lockpicking never tried. Never tried this before. I've tried the wrapping things on other locks, never this 175. Because I told him about the giant wheel thing that it might be a defect. Then he figured out how to do this thing, too. So, we have the giant mallet. I'm just gonna pretend this is N Commander owing me things, and I'm gonna treat the lock that way and find out. Hopefully, I don't hit my fingers and make a Tom from Tom and Jerry sound. So, from what I understood, it's you press. You're not supposed to press it all the way. You're supposed to press lightly on it, and then. I also just might be weak, so. And these sharp corners really dig in. Here we go. I also don't know how lightly you're supposed to do this, so. Try the other side. See, Masterlocks are good for, like, the shells not cracking or anything, you know? So, at least that's neat. Again, like, when they say hardened shackle, like, I was in an emergency, you heard when I was doing last episode where they had to cut through these. Really awful. Not awful in that they were bad locks, in that it took fire department forever to cut through them. But, so they are weather resistant and stuff like that. It's just that, I'm actually going to try it. But in terms of picking and decoding and bypassing, usually most master locks are terrible. What's instant karma? Is that a cryptocurrency I'm going to have to cover on Crypto Barons? Please let me know, Commander. I'm going to actually try it all the way in and see if that makes a difference. Alright. Well, so far it's not working for me. I'm going to have to do more experiments on that. But again, I'm really under the weather right now. Like, you have no idea. Like, when I'm like, bye, everybody, like, just for today. When I go, bye, everybody, listen to music, and it goes over, literally this is what's going to happen. Bye, everybody. Like, I'm going to do that. So, I'm going to go on break. It's going to be about a minute or 3, like last time. Let me get some water. I might take a bit more meds, because remember, I got the Delta. These are the people across the river. And I wore a mask and took precautions, too. And, anyhow, so I need to rest up a little bit, get some water, possibly take more meds. We're going to cover these 3. And then I have a special guy over there that you've seen in the preview image that we're going to go look at. So hang on. Enjoy the music. I will be right back for more Master of Unlocking. Stay tuned. Alright, I am back. And now I'm physically back. Yay! Hi everyone out there. Again, sorry for that. I sit down for like 30 seconds and then do it. Normally, okay, in about 4 years I'm going to be like that because I'm an old man. but, but I haven't reached that point. I have now gotten the trial period for being an old man, or what's known as um, the VIP beta for the Neo access. And Commander's going to get that joke. Because unfortunately I contracted Delta because I went to a place where stupidity happened, even though I was taking precautions to the best of my ability. I don't blame them. It just happened. I warned everyone there, because contact tracing. So I'm very much under the weather. That's why this is not a smooth episode and why my hands have been off. But welcome back to Master by Locking, where we do lockpicking and scary stuff. Party. Actually, let me check, because I have to check a previous setting. The 175 is shimmable, but that one isn't just because of a defect, that particular one. And right now is 1014. So Dark Arts Lockpicking has a disability known as that he lives in Australia. I'm kidding, I love Australia. He has some of the best drag queens and animals that kill you. Including probably the most deadly animal you can find in the Australian continent, which is the Australian Parliament. So it's morning over there probably. It's night over here. This is also why afterwards this episode will temporarily be on Twitch and will also be pretty much permanently on our YouTube and PeerTube, which we're also live streaming from. That way, if your time period is off and you're worried about missing it live, don't worry. You can always watch these later. Dawson. Oh, now the chat's getting mean. Yeah, we're gonna have farts and prayers, all the upside down. Oh, thoughts and prayers for all of the, as I keep telling people outside my country, because everyone's horrified about what America's like right now, and I'm like, people, I've been saying for years, my country is a third world country with first world money, and the reason why everyone is shooting everyone and getting sick is because we've run out of the first world money part. So, including me. So, cheers to that. Oh, I have to make dinner soon, so I'm kind of hungry. But yeah, back to this show. We do lock picking. Don't pick locks that you rely on, and don't pick locks that you don't own. So welcome back to this. Side podcast, one of the two converters, DCG 201. I'm also a member of Tool, the open organization of lock pickers, where we do this. It's getting more scrunchy, and I can't wait to go into the isolation zone to take this off because it's ripping my ears off while my food bakes. And if you like the content you see so far, you can like, share, and subscribe on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. We get notifications for those. We recently just got to the 100 follower goal of DLive. I'm so happy and awesome. Yay for the person who did that, because we're going to have to do a special thing for them later. And we've been going through, because Masterlock is over 100 years old. Yay! As we've seen, despite how sick and bad I am, we've been managing to bypass, pick open, and decode a lot of different Masterlock products. But now we're going to hit the special category before we get to the goal zone. And these are currently, we might be able to prove it wrong today, and also I'm really sick, so I doubt. I'm a lot better, by the way, as you can tell, I can talk and stuff. Thursday night, I was dead. I had a fever and everything. In fact, right after this, we're going to check the temperature. But these are the naughty locks. These are the locks and master locks that I either have a hard time opening or I have not opened yet. I know that might surprise you because some locks look like the easy mode locks for the lock pickers, but I am still learning. And some people are really good at picking abaces, some people are good at picking master locks, picking shanks. I'm usually really good at picking schlag locks, by the way, and schlag keyways. So I'm still learning stuff. These are just on my naughty list. And we're going to go from left to right, starting with this guy that Jack has been able to pick open once or twice. If I remember quickly, I think this is one of those locks where Jack has this weird thing. This never happens to me for some reason. This only happens with Jack, where Jack will hang around Jack's our co-founder, by the way. He's in the other room trying to avoid me right now, because right now I have one of those alien xenomorph things, and it might kill him. See, in 100 years, the project has gone down in quality. You picked a 77 that put more fight than the 140s or never. Oh, God, yeah. So not only have they had consistent shitty quality with some of their products, but they've also gone downhill. And you missed it earlier in our arts, but I'll repeat it again. When we covered the really shitty section, or like the beginner locks, we did combination locks, worded locks. We did Masterlock number 3 through 140s, although I was struggling with them because basically, thanks to the Delta variant, I have a hard time feeling stuff with my hands. Like, I'm not numb, my brain is I'm probably getting the feedback, but my brain can't process it because my brain is just breathing like Chris Christie trying to walk up 4 stairs. Not 4 flights of stairs, just 4 steps on a stair. That's how exhausted my brain is. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to pick these open, but what I did cover is my 3 things about Masterlock as a company is that 1, they're the Microsoft or Google of locks, in which the reason why most people own Masterlocks is not because they're the best locks, but because Masterlock is really good at putting their locks in every single goddamn store and flooding it with it. So they're like the default for locks. 2 is that, yeah, I do. I'll explain in a second. 2 is that, that's why I'm sanitizing all this stuff afterwards. 2 is that, people are way overconfident of every lock. They think if you just have a lock, that means you could beat like Master Beats and stuff. Also, a lot of lock companies, maybe Masterlock to some degree, but a lot of lock companies, especially gun locks, which we'll get to in a moment, lie to consumers about how good their locks are. So people overestimate locks, which is why lock sporters like myself, Dark Arts Lockpicking, Lockpicking Lawyer, Fish Picks, Lock Noob, everyone out there, Demon Olam, Night Owl, my mentor, Giant Xmas, Liz, Avi. Sorry, Avi. I didn't dox them, they go by either, but Avi, part of Tool. That's why we record this stuff and popularize it so that people know. And 3 is that Masterlock to me is like the Tex-Mex of locks, in which they have a bad habit of cloning their stuff throughout the years and never changing anything. So you have all these different lock bodies, but they have the same shitty combinations design, whether they're combination locks, pin tumblers, or whatever. And I use the Jim Gaffigan joke of like, if people would ask him when he worked at a Mexican restaurant what was inside these tacos and quesadillas and all this stuff, it was the same ingredients over and over again. That's what Masterlock is like. So, yeah, no, even New Zealand's got back in lockdown, and I think they've only had like 4 cases. Meanwhile, like, I'll put it this way. I'm not going to go into details, but basically because of what happened to me, I'm now quickly realizing why New Jersey, of all states, as Swift on Security stated, we're doing pretty good. Everyone's wearing masks now. We're worried about going into lockdown, but we're willing to do it. Honestly, New York is like turning into like a Delta plague zone where like it's going to be the worst crossover of Mad Max and The Walking Dead that no one asked for. Like, I'm not even kidding. Basically, I went to 2 events Sunday and Tuesday. I'm not saying I got it from there, but this was the same span of the week. The day after Tuesday, on Wednesday, I started getting symptoms, suspected it was. Next day, I got 2 different tests. They both came up positive. I've been quarantining, basically. I've been isolating from Jack and a bunch of people and all of you folks since Thursday when I found out. And this has been like day 6 so far. And I'm doing 21. Gotcha. So let's go into this. So Jack has this weird thing where he will meet other lock sporters, and I don't know if it's he says something or he like has a certain smile or whatever. People are like, "Hey, here's this lock that's like wiping your ass with a cheese grater. It's yours." Like, for some reason, everyone knows that in Tool. No one does that to me, but Jack has been given like 3 or 5 locks that way so far. And then I get to watch him, where I get to do this game, where every time I hear him like Charlie Brown arg in the room, I have to play the game of, did someone give him a challenge lock? Or is he trying to do something terrible with an easy open source program that's anything but? Half the time it's one of these. He apparently, after a while, picked this open, gutted it, because he was like, mad if I remember when he got this. He was like, I need to know what's in this thing, because this book, and did that, and then donated it to me, because it's like the movie or book Thinner, where in order to get rid of the curse, you have to pass it to other people. So I've had this one here. I always give it to people who are intermediate to advanced. We're going to do some recon on it. I'm going to attempt to pick it for a couple of seconds, because we're just going to breeze through these, especially with how weak I currently am. So I don't even know if this is going to fit. Okay. That's what she said. I don't know if it's going to fit in there. I made it fit. All right, so let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5 pins. I honestly forget. I looked it up once. It's a number 575, this is. And there's a number 2 etched on it. I don't know why. I think that's because maybe it was a challenge lock. I think it was built to be one. And we're just going to poke around in here. To me, this lock always feels really gummy. And honestly, I probably should be using a top of the keyway. I might go that in a moment, because now since we're getting to high security locks, I usually use top of the keyway stuff, and I might have to use a thinner pick profile. Because that's the thing, I never asked Jack how he picked this open, or like what techniques or tools that he used. Like some of them are locking, some of them aren't. Oh boy, here we go. Hang on, I'll solve this problem. Oh boy, I guess this stream's popular because this happened. I know exactly what to do with these. You read? You do that, and that, and that. And I know that hasn't changed much, so I want to remind people again that if you want to know more about us and our meetings and our other shows and stuff, you can go to our website at defcon201.org. And if you want to follow us on Twitter and social media and all that stuff, we have a giant link tree where you can go and get that stuff. Yep, it's raining spam. Holy, you know what sucks? I would actually appreciate it if it rained like clones of the hacker named Spam, because he's a cool dude, but not that type, not old school Spam. It's like that or Monty Python, cool. This, no. So, I felt like I was getting some progress with this, because I got 2 pins to lock, although that might be, these are probably are full of security pins. And one of the weird things is that it's like tensioning from the bottom. I'm actually going to get one of my tension wrenches. These are part of my new set. They're gnarled wrenches from Sparrows. There should be more room down here and more control, even though my hands are just awful right now. And I'm using Fish Pick's amazing, what he calls the hollow bone structure pick that he sent to me after I interviewed him, which I'm still very grateful for having. Yeah, see, honestly, I noticed, I feel like there's a little bit more of a sticking, but I honestly don't really feel much of a difference. For real. And yeah, I know I'm holding it dumb, like this here. Okay, fun story. Okay, while I try to pick this over for a couple more seconds, right? I'm going to do it the professional surgeon way. You don't have to name who it is. Apparently, so a bunch of fans. One, it's kind of like, like sex or like friendship or like invitations to parties and stuff. If you have to buy your way in, you're kind of dumb. Not that you shouldn't buy for sex, like support sex workers and stuff. But what I mean is like, don't brag about that stuff and then like be like act natural when it wasn't, because then there's people like me where it's like, I might not have all the internet fans, but everyone in lockpicking pretty much knows who I'm not like super famous, but like in like the mid-range people, like people know, because I do this bull crap and torture myself. But so before I did this, like I was still going to like computer hacker meetings and the conventions and stuff. I ran a video game. Jesus Christ, I'm turning to a McDonald's employee or a TSA employee up here. Sorry about that. I'm curious about breaking this now, even though it's probably full of security pins. I founded by myself and then I had this amazing staff for a while. This video game group called Street Pass NYC, and basically, there was a video game handheld console called the 3DS. Actually, I think put it into a full set. Interesting. And it had a feature called Street Pass where if you walked by someone else with another 3DS, it would exchange certain information about different games you were playing. You get like bonus items, secret messages, and stuff like that. And that's really easy to do in Japan because it's overcrowded. That's one of the problems with COVID. And yeah, no, that's a telltale sign. And okay, so now it's probably bots, so they might be more convincing. But if they have like weird foreign names that don't even make sense in the language that they came from, those are yeah. So what happens is that I found it's really easy to do that in Japan with the Nintendo 3DS feature. Everywhere else, especially in the United States, with how spaced out we are, not so much, right? I'm going to stop picking this. I've already given up. So I was waiting for one to happen in New York, and like a month went by, nothing happened. So I went to the launch, got the system. A week later, it was the meetup that I did. Became super popular. Like we had online, like DCG 201 was way more popular online than this, to be honest. But like if you cut our numbers in half, that's still really big. That's how big it was. So let me drink some more water. So this has been years later, so I actually don't mind saying this. There was one of the groups that was near us was called Street Pass Princeton. If you look up Street Pass Princeton, New Jersey, you'll find a lot of terrible dirt on these people. Because they were honestly very skeevily run, okay? And one of the people who ran it was named Nick. I'm not going to fully dox him, he was named Nick. N-I-C-K. Like kind of like a Nick address or something. And I'll never forget, we had like 2,000-something people on Facebook alone. Which is fine. There was groups that had more people than us, and there was a lot of groups that had less people than us, but still high, like 800 people, things like that, right? Because I told people, if you have high numbers, great, but it's all about when you hold the meetings, are people showing up? Is that like at least like are 2 people showing up? Was everyone happy? Because I had meetings where we had huge numbers and people showed up and they were not happy, right? But if you had some people show up and everyone was happy and everyone had fun, there was no problems, great meeting, you're a great group, right? But this dude was obsessed. Oh, Brazil. Awesome, yeah. No, there was a lot of... I love the Latin American groups. I knew there was Costa Rica, Brazil, all of them. Was obsessed with numbers. And it's like, with DCT 201, we occasionally look at the numbers and we try to do new things, or we're like, no, why is this low? Sure. But, like, we're not, like, individually counting numbers and printing. And I'll never forget one day, his group went from, like, what was it, like 300, 400 people, I think? And he had the same exact number as ours. He had like 2,000 something, whatever. And when we looked, it was all high names. And we made a deal about it because, one, I didn't want all of a sudden this to become a popularity contest out of nowhere, because that's petty. 2, it makes you think you can buy your way into all this stuff. And 3, you're lying to the public because now you're making yourself looking bigger than you actually are, so when third parties come to you, they're going to be like, hey, you have this many numbers, but then we did this event or whatever, and it was only this many people, what the fuck? And 4, to me that's a disservice for the smaller groups who are amazing and super hardworking, and they earned every single one of those followers. Like, they had like 400 followers, and they were like from Arizona. Like, Arizona was one of the best groups, I'm not even kidding. Really clever stuff. Like, they would do stuff and be like, why didn't we think to do that? We a lot of times do that at DCG 201, by the way, when we look at different... Like, we constantly, by the way, look at DCG 5511, and we're like, wow, we're really stupid. Why didn't we think of that topic? Why isn't our presentation like despite, like, I guess we're one of the more well-known DEFCON groups, along with, like, 801 and stuff like that, we're really envious of a lot of groups. We have a lot of blind spots and everything. I'm half of them, so yeah. But I just want to say that, yeah, I had that happen previously at a video game group thing, and It's quality over quantity, and it turns into a dumb pissing contest. It doesn't mean anything. You lie to people if you're looking for sponsors and stuff, and it's just bad all around. So I'm sorry, I can only read part of the chat. I'm just going to step over and then I'm going to see the rest of these lots. Right. Yeah, that's why they originally did the relay. And from what I understood, the reason why they took originally Street Pass was supposed to be part of the Nintendo Switch. They also had a different dock that made the Switch more resemble like a Wii U gamepad. And from what I read, they really wanted to distance the Switch away from the 3DS and the Wii U. So even good ideas like Street Pass, they took out of the system just so that it could stand on its own unique. And I disagree with that, but hey, I guess it worked out here. So that was this Masterlock 575. I think it's a challenge lock, like it was regutted and everything. We don't have the key for us. It was never given to the key. Whatever. This thing we covered 2 episodes ago. This is, because you notice it seems like mostly, it's like the same riveted design and everything. There's a master on it, nice polish. But then there's this like crazy loop with these weird nubs, and it's like, what the f is this? Well, this, which we took out of the packaging live, is for firearms. This loop you put in the chamber, you thread it through the chambering system so that when you pull the trigger, it can't actually slide back and use the mechanisms in order to fire the bullet, whether you're talking about a handgun, a rifle, potentially a shotgun, but don't quote me on that because they mainly showed handguns, rifles, maybe submachine guns. Anything that has a sort of lever bolt action system, you thread this through, this is supposed to stop. I mean, bolt action, not even that, like, even semi-automatic, automatic, this is supposed to stop that mechanism. Just put it that way. This has 5 pins in it. I can count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the thing about this is that, one, when I did that episode, that was the first time I ever encountered it, and I haven't done anything since. So I spent the least amount of time with this. The other thing that you might not be able to tell is how tiny the keyway is. Like, this is pretty much an average-sized keyway for most locks. Now look at this one. Look how freaking small it is. It is teeny tiny. Tiny, teeny. And I've tried different things. I've tried 15 thousandths of an inch. And my main thing is I think I need, like, smaller, thinner tension wrenches. It's like I put this one in here. That takes up the entire space. I can't even put, like, top of the keyway ones. This is very hard to do. Like, I'm going to try again. Everything feels gummy. I don't know if there's security pins in here or not. Because I can barely feel anything. Like, even when I did the episode, I could barely feel anything. It keeps slipping. That's what I mean. And like, when I ease the tension out, hear any clicks. Like, I honestly don't know what's going on. Now, to be fair, I don't think I ever tried raking this, but I don't think I have a rake that's thin enough to fit, which means I probably need to get a 15,000th inch rake, which is something I didn't think I need. But, you know, this happens a lot of times. I'll have a lock, and I'm like, oh, crap, I'm going to need that, aren't I? It's like this is my 15,000th of an inch medium hook. I also have a 15,000th inch short hook now, and I guess when more income comes in, I'm going to have to get a goddamn 50,000th of an inch, like, triple peak or something. Because this is absolutely ridiculous. And it's like, I feel like it feels more like I'm putting together a mod. That's also another thing, these gnarls. It feels like I'm putting in a, like, it feels like, honestly, that I'm trying to put together a model ship and picking a lock. Like, this is just so hard to do because of how small everything is. So, like, I could try to rake it with a normal rig. I don't even know if that's possible. Because I'm not going to do a top of the keyway with a rake. Because if no one has ever told anybody, if you almost never, pretty much you never use top of the keyway for a rake. Because you will pull the rake out. So you'll pull the top of the keyway tension out as you're trying to rake the thing. Here we go. So I'm just going to do this. And let's try the S rake, because that's the smallest thing in here, and see if we get even any sort of progress. Remember, I'm also kind of weak. Because I wouldn't be surprised if there's actually, like, some security pins in here. Maybe this is completely serrated. There might be, like, 1 or 2 spools in here. I also can't tell if I'm like, now I'm going to just do full tension. It's also, the S-ray keeps getting caught, to be honest. Like, I'm actually wondering maybe I should do like a zipping method or something. I've used the key on this. The only thing I can think of, and I'm going to put this to the side and experiment later, I am going to lube this because it does feel stiff. Even though this is new. And we'll see how that goes. So that's the other one. That's the gun one. And usually, like with lockpicking lore, these gun ones suck, but maybe it's my skill level, maybe I got a defective one, maybe it's actually built that well, but I can't get that one open. Now, here's the last two, and then we'll go into the special one, because I'm getting more tired. Now, this is kind of weird, because first of all, this says America on it. You probably are familiar with the American locks, Series 20. So why do I have an American lock for an episode about Masterlock? Well, here's this Masterlock, and you'll probably notice it looks very similar to an American lock that you have seen, which I remember correctly, I think is the 120 series, I think. So the 120 or the 140 series. One 200 or the 1400 series. But it says Master on it instead of America Lock. Well, that's because America Lock used to be its own company. America Lock is known for having security pins, paracentric keyways, actual security for locks. And so the story goes, and the theory is that Masterlock are sick and tired of having all their locks being shitty. So because they had a ton of money from selling crappy Masterlock number 3s, they approached American Lock, and they bought their company. So one, when you buy America Lock, your profits go to the Masterlock company. And yes, they used to be the ones the Army uses, which is also why there are Masterlocks, older ones, that the Army uses that are labeled as U.S. Army. Don't quote me on this, I think the Army and the Air Force used Masterlocks. Not sure. But anyhow, I know the Army definitely did. Because you can find videos of Night Owl has a couple of these too. So when you buy American locks, you are inadvertently giving money to the Masterlock company. That also means that Masterlock, which is why they bought American Lock in the first place, has taken American locks, like this one and this one, slapped the name Masterlock on it. But it's the same American locks that they had, they just now have the Masterlock logo on it. It's the same ass-hard internals for intermediate pickers, but it's just labeled that because the company owns them. And so these are these two. Now, this one, you can get certain ones where if they don't have the thing in them or they're too old, there's like a wafer that's in the way and you can use a bypass on them. This one, I was stupid. This one, you can't repin. You can't take, even though this has this, you can't take the core out. There's a rivet holding the core, not the screw. So I haven't been able to do that. And just, I'm going to be too weak to do this. But like, you use the top of the keyway and just going in, and if I remember correctly, I think these have either 2 or 3 serrated, and I think all of them have 2 spools. And it's just like, I usually need to open this a lot of concentration, and I need not to be sick. And sometimes that happens where it just pops out. You know, has it ever happened to you? Where you stick something in and you think you have a good rhythm and it pops out? Happens to you? Happens to me all the time. So yeah, like, I know I'm not going to open this one on air because I'm just way too sick and tired. And the other problem with this guy is this has the same 5-pin thing full of security pins, but this has an even bigger issue, which is that before this, I had a hard time, getting a top of the keyway to fit all the way in there. Now I do with these gnarled ones. But the other thing is just that it's kind of like really tiny, and also this is really heavy. So this is another one that I struggle with just because of the weight and how tiny the keyway is and recessed it is. So I usually have to use like a 15,000th in order to get into there properly. It's not even super, I mean, it is very S-curved, so it is somewhat paracentric. It's not the most paracentric keyway, but it's just annoying. And again, my hands are already tired holding this thing because how heavy this is, and I'm like really sick. So yeah, it's all that. So that's these two locks, and that's why I have them on the episode. So, we're almost at the end of the episode. This is going to be the last thing we're going to show on this episode, celebrating Masterlock's 100-year history. And I just want to say once again, I'll repeat this at the end, thank you for all watching the stream. Thank you for following this with me. Thank you for putting up that I had a hard time opening even the most simplest locks because I was not expecting, because I haven't been lockpicking since I've been isolating. I was not expecting to be this exhausted on air for everyone, okay? I have bad days. I only have a certain skill level. I'm not like the most extreme picker out there. I'm definitely no Deviant Olem or lockpicking warrior. Those two are gods. Night Owl is also a god. But like, you've seen me pick these locks before. I'm literally that should tell you how severe Delta is. If you get cold symptoms, especially if you have a hard time breathing, which is what tipped me off it might be, go get tested in quarantine and stuff. And I'm not leaving yet. We're showing off one thing, Dark Cards. I know it's lunch to you. You might have to run off and fight crime or whatever. We're going to show off one thing. It was in the preview of it. And so I can't think of a way to finish celebrating Masterlock's 100th anniversary than this guy. Or gal. I think it's a dude, though. Zoom in a bit more. Focus. There we go. So, this is the commemorative Masterlock that the Masterlock company has put out to celebrate their 100 years of existing starting this year. You may have seen other people cover these. I know Lockpicking Lawyer covered these, Locknoob. I know I'm late to the party, but I'm here to cover it now. And I can't think of also a better time to cover it now, because I'll put it this way. They were selling these locks for $40 on their website, limited select ones in various retail stores. I got this at a Lowe's. They still have 8 of these. They've been trying to get rid of these because outside of lock people like myself, no one's buying these, at least around here. So, I'll put this chat. We're going to give it 1 minute. How much did you think I paid for this? Because I'll tell you this, I did not pay more than $40 in this, which was its original price. How much do you think I paid? Remember, they're trying to get rid of these things. That should tell you everything about Masterlock. I'm going to give everyone a minute to place your bid. It's like, welcome to, what's that show? Prices. Welcome to The Lock is Right. Come on down. I'm showing you this product, and you're going to guess how much that I paid for this thing. No one says anything. I'm just going to bite the bullet and tell you because your jaw is probably going to drop, or maybe it'll be like figures. But, yeah, it was just hilarious. I wish it was that low, but you're actually not far off. But you can't answer again. Does anyone else have any ideas of how much I paid for this lock that was originally $40 that I got less than $40? This is the limited edition celebrating since 1921, 100 years of Masterlock. I'll take at least one more guess of how much I paid for this. And the only hint I'm going to give now is that it was more than 5, but not by much, and definitely less than $40. You want to do that? And again, I want to reiterate, thank you for, as I put this over my nose, and congratulations, Delta de Mona, you won! I paid $12.20 for this, for the celebrating 100 years, limited edition, lock and keychain, collectors. So congratulations, like, I know we're still trying to get you a prize for another thing that we've done in the past. I'm working on it. I apologize for it being super late. But no, you nailed it. $12 is pretty much what I paid for this. And honestly, it's pretty neat. Like, I like the packaging. Like, it's a little similar to what their usual higher security grade, air quote, packaging is, but with this gold color and a lot more fancy. The keys have, like, they're labeled 100 years, and it's more of their older logo. I love this keychain. This is something I'm going to keep. I'm either going to put this on my own keys, or if I get certain type of, like, Masterlock keys, I'm going to totally, like, if there's, like, a Masterlock set, like, if I get, like, the lotto locks I want in the future, I'll put the keys on this keychain. Who knows, I actually might put this on my own personal keychain. And the funny thing is when you flip it over, you can see part of the bidding, but then it's really covered by this this barcode sticker, so that's a good sign, It's officially labeled 1921D. You see that? They were formed in 1921, and the official project number is 1921. I got you there, and the D, because, you know, they like, Masterlock really likes putting their D into everything. And then here's the lock itself. Now, remember when they rated this a number 10? This piece of crap that I can rake and open. I can open this while being sick with COVID, okay? This, they rated a number 9, so it's going to be one less than that. And I can see where they're coming from. I have no idea if this is ball bearings, but they put this rubberized lip at the top so that there's no way and chance in hell, unless we try to cut this off, which we're not going to try to shim this. When we open it, we'll find out if it's ball bearings or not. But even if it is, that's still an extra thing, so we can't even attempt to do it. Solid lock body. Again, this thing puts up a lot of resistance on it. And it has this slip cover, which I have not opened. There was actually a lot of these that were loose or missing, so I'm actually going to attempt to open it. It's actually shockingly, wow, I'm afraid I'm going to rip my nail off. I'm going to use an edge of the monkey paw to pry this open, because this is shockingly in there. There we go. That was actually shockingly hard to, like, move. You move it out of the way, and this is, wow, this is, okay, this might be repinnable, though that might just be a rivet in there, okay? This is my first time looking at this in person, by the way, besides just having it here. And similar to this Masterlock here, this one is super recessed in, so I'm definitely going to use a top. Might be able to get away slightly with the bottom of the keychain, but it's got the keyway chain. And just like with this Masterlock 15, I'm going to try to right now pick this out of the case. It doesn't matter if I'm able to pick it out. I've seen people pick this out of the case. But we're going to try this on air. And I don't know if this is going to be part of the what people are going to be able to use in my kit. But even when I pick this open, this is definitely going to use the longer one. This is definitely going to be part of my collection. So outside of certain times when I bring it out, this might be really neat. So now again, I'm trying to work around this rubber packaging, here. So it's going to be a little tricky, and especially with this tail. Let's move that more out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to go with the monkey paw and feel around a bit. Might be very similar to this guy over here, to be honest, in terms of the internals. Let's find out. Hopefully I'm not tensioning it too much. I actually might, I feel like I should switch over to Killimer's pick, just because it is a longer reach than the monkey paw, even though I'm feeling a lot more, feeling different pins with the monkey paw. Actually, let me zoom out a bit. And I'm actually going to tilt this slightly forward. You can see my ugly feet and stuff. I'm going to tilt this camera down because, again, this is a heavy pick. I am not feeling well, so I'm actually going to sit down and attempt to do this. And again, I might not be able to pick this open on air. That doesn't matter. I'm just going to attempt to do it on air. And we're going to see how this goes. Because I've seen a lot of my contemporaries and colleagues pick this open out of the package. And the thing the funny thing about this is that there's a lot of people who are hyped for this lock, right? And what's hilarious is that I know a lot of people who apparently picked this open. I believe it's 5 pins. And they were disappointed because apparently it's the same 5 pins with 2 or 3 pins offset on the shear line, and there should be no security pins. And there's people who were like upset that the anniversary lock had that bad of a security, right? And I actually agree with Lockpicking Lawyer, as we've seen earlier, that on the contrary, I can't think of a better way to celebrate 100 years of Masterlock than to have their anniversary lock have the same bad bidding, even though I'm sick and getting tired, as their lower security locks that are notorious to pick and rank open easily. I just find that absolutely hilarious. And honestly, right now, the paracentricness of the keyway is becoming an obstacle here, so at least that's a good side, I guess, for this lock. Let's actually try the offset hybrid here. I'm doing this all at 25 thousandths of an inch. sorry, yeah, 25,000 of inch. Might have to do 15,000, depending on how things go. And I'm actually going to try putting, which I'm going to do right now, just because, again, I'm tired. We're at the end. I need to go cook dinner. I need to disinfect all of this, take this away, and nap. And this is not, I'm not saying this is like, you're like doing this is like not fun and hating me. I enjoy doing this. It's been like 6 days. I usually pick locks at least once a day. And so, like, I'm so happy that I'm out here doing this, and the show is, like, my guarantee that I can do this with you all. It's just more of that, like, condition right now. So I'm actually going to just see if I can even rake this open. First of all, let's see if I can put the rake in here and see if that's even possible. I'm going to stand for this. Very stiff. And actually, okay, that got stuck in there. So let's see. Let's try that again. And this time I'm going to do something a bit more gentle with the S-rake. And if I can't pick it open here, in the future, but not on air, I'm going to then spray this with the lock lube. Because again, it does feel stiff to the touch. And see if that works. Oh, I felt something move when I did that. The curvature on this is just bizarre. Oh, that got stuck. Try super heavy tension here. Okay, I think this needs the lock lube in it. And we're going to let that sit, and also because it has a cover. And if I open it between episodes, I will post that on our Twitter. And if not, we'll do it on a future episode. But yeah, that's the anniversary lock that, again, I don't know if it has good security on it. I don't know if it has bad security on it, like everyone else is saying. Let me tilt this up so I'm not speaking with my crotch. I am just literally sick and tired right now. But I had so much fun doing this episode because, as you can tell, I have a lot of Masterlocks. A lot of them are really crappy. Some of them are shockingly good. Some of them are beyond my personal skill level, as I unintentionally advertise Ghostbusters. And I'm actually going to move the camera over to the chair so I can sit down and do this. So you get to see our ceiling briefly and all that good stuff. Hold on. There we go. There's the chair. Oh, man, sitting down feels so nice. So anyhow, thanks, everyone, as we switch back to the face cam for this episode of Master of Unlocking. I wish this was more of like a whiz-bang, like, we ate through most of the locks, and we got open a bunch of them. But, again, this is not acting. Unfortunately, since Wednesday, this is, or more accurately, Thursday, this has been my reality. So, what I'm going to do now, and again, thank you all for doing this. This was, like, dead serious. I'm not torturing myself for this. I've been wanting to do this forever. I've been wanting to do this particular episode forever. This has been a lot of fun to do. So, thank you for that. Let me just collect my thoughts together. Again, if you like the stuff that you've seen, you can click like, share, subscribe completely for free on Twitch, Live, or YouTube. Thank you, and I'm gonna scroll back to remember who your username was, if I can. Thank you, Basis Trade, for finally becoming the 100 follower, in which now we can talk to DLive about upgrading our DLive account, which will not only make all of our streams better for DLive, but also make everything better for my other show, Crypto Barons, which the second episode is going to happen on the 28th at 8 p.m. This show, Master of Unlocking, happens the first and third Sunday of every month. So I will see everyone again on September 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, because unlike Crypto Barons, where I have a master list of stuff, for Master of Unlocking, I'm waiting always for stuff in the mail, or income to come in, or certain products to hit the shelves. So I can't tell you what I'm going to do next. I do have an overall thing of stuff that I want to do, and I can tell you now, before the end of the year, I want to actually get the most expensive thing I've been wanting to do to get out of the way. Because I did the most second expensive thing a while ago, which was that Sparrow's Reload kit, where I spray painted all of them, and we repinned it on air. But I have one that's similar to that, where I want to teach people how master keying works. And Sparrow's does have a master key system set. So I'm going to get cutaway ones, spray paint them, spray paint the symbols on them. I'm going to tell everyone how master keying works. We're going to build those on air, show that, and then in the future, because I always do like clear or cutaway or see-through locks, beginner and like the tools to use them, and then beginner to intermediary locks of that type. I'm eventually going to get what's known as SFIC or SFIC padlocks, which have two different shear lines, which is very similar to the master keying system, one for control and one for the key itself. And that's not going to be the next episode probably, but that's definitely going to be an episode that we're going to do before the end of the year. So again, thank you all for watching. I don't know if our awesome follower at DLive is still out there, but just because you followed, I'm going to put lemons in the chat for DLive. If not, I am going to reach out to you personally and thank you on DLive, because this has been a big deal for us. And right now, I'm looking at Twitch right now to see there's two potential good candidates of people that I might raid. So I'm just kind of looking between these two, and honestly, between all the choices that I have, I definitely think I'm gonna go. Let's see here with that. Where did they go? Did they disappear already? There was a certain choice. Yes, I am gonna. I'm gonna eat, disinfect everything, and pass out because I feel like I earned it today. Yeah, actually, you know what we're gonna do instead? I'm gonna actually go to the browse section, and we're gonna actually look up a category, and we're gonna try to raid someone that is completely new, that we haven't done before. Let's see if any of those are available here, because I'm not going to move on before them. So again, the next episode will be on September 5th. Our next meeting for DCG 201 will be on September 17th. I should be, by September, that should be way more than 2 weeks. I should be non-infectious, negative. I'm actually going to go, regardless, take another COVID test on Tuesday, just to find out. Interesting. So I should be good then. So not only provided that our venue subculture is doing well, because they have been doing well, they just had a kerfuffle last time. It wasn't our fault, or their fault was not COVID related. It was just a bunch of different craziness going on at the time. So as long as that happens, we should be good. I just found an interesting crafting thing that I think we're going to go raid. Yeah, we're going to go raid that on Twitch. So if you're on Twitch, stay tuned and say hi to the person we're going to raid and eventually follow. And if you're on DLive, I'm going to send out lemons because I'm just so happy that we finally got the 100%. I never thought Master of Unlocking we'd finally get the 100 follower. So yeah, again, if you want to know more information, you can go to our website at defcon201.org. If you want to follow us on social media, such as our Twitter and our Facebook and Instagram and Mastodon and stuff like that, I just post a link in chat where you can get that. I will see everyone in general. If you're interested in just seeing me for some reason and cryptocurrency, I will see everyone on the 28th at 8 p.m. If you can't wait for me to do locks, and I should be way better and not sick. That's also why my hair's crazy than normal. I'll see everyone on the 5th, and I can't wait to see everyone, hopefully both in person and online, at our meeting on the 17th. But thank you for watching Master of Unlocking. Enjoy the music on Twitch. Say hi to the person we're going to raid on DLive. Thank you for the 100 followers. We can now attempt to upgrade our account. I think this is a great way to celebrate 100 years of Masterlock. Hack the planet. Dirty Jersey represent. And remember, New York is turning into a giant cesspool for Delta. Don't make the same mistake I do. Stay home when you can. Wear a mask when you go outside. Get the vaccine. Even if you've been infected already, like in the past, you will develop even better all-around antibodies with the vaccine. You'll actually be double protected, which is what's going to happen when I eventually get the booster shot from New Jersey this fall. And the vaccine is literally the only reason why I could do this episode and be here in person and alive instead of being 6 feet in the ground. Because if you're not vaccinated and you get particularly Delta, you are basically dead. I'm not kidding. Go look all that up on the CDC and stuff, do your own research. Anyhow, not to be morbid, enjoy the music. I'm going to go skedaddle and do all the other stuff. Stay safe, enjoy the music, say hi to the person we raid if you're on Twitch. Thank you, Philip, for following us, by the way, on Twitch.